Make no mistake about it, the Clemson Tigers earned a spot in the ACC title game, says a Clemson media member. Who is that media member that said that? I'll tell you that in just a second, and I'll tell you what was said, but we've used that term several times this week. Diesel, I know I have, and I, in this very first segment, am going to stand by it. Clemson did backdoor their way into the ACC title game. Welcome into Wire to Wire. He, sitting on the other side from me, is Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to have you, Tolos, in the conversation, whether you're listening on radio or watching on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. So many ways to get in touch with us, so many ways to listen as well. Will Vandervoort of the Clemson Insider. Diesel, we had him on the show yesterday, and he was fantastic, as he always is. Will's a good friend of the show. We enjoy having Will on, but he put an article out last night, yesterday evening, that said, over the last several days, I have heard this over and over again, and it's not just coming from the national media or a rival fan base. It's also coming from Clemson fans. This is what I've heard on the radio and read in my messages. Clemson backed its way into the ACC championship game. Will goes on to say there's no more of an inaccurate statement than that one. Diesel, do you agree that that statement is inaccurate?
No, it's 100% accurate because nothing Clemson did got them there. Insofar as to say they didn't have enough conference wins to get there. They needed another team to lose to put them there. That's the definition of backdooring your way in. I mean, when you talk about it from a betting standpoint, a backdoor cover is a team that comes in and scores points late to cover the spread when it doesn't help them win the game, right? They have won the game, but they have covered the spread on some late field goal or late touchdown or something like that, and that's how they backdoored their way into a cover, or something like that. Look, he's wrong. He's wrong, and when people can finally pull the wool out from over their eyes and see that this program is not where it needs to be, that this program is not controlling its own destiny, that this program needs help from other teams.
Pull the wool from their eyes.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize.
Literally.
Yeah. You need help from other teams to get into the game. I mean, you may still go and win the game. And look, congratulations for going and possibly winning that football game. But you shouldn't be there. Miami should be there. Miami crapped the bed when it really mattered the most.
I want to credit Rob Jones of 98.9 WORD, who you've heard on this station before as well. We were having this conversation earlier today, and he brought this article to my attention, so I want to credit Rob for that. Hopefully I said that loud enough for him to hear me across the hall over there. But, Diesel, it is interesting because it brings up the question of what your job title is and my job title, also the job title of someone who is a journalist, right? There is a difference in what Will Vandervoort does on a daily basis and what you and I do, but at times we do the same thing. What I mean is you and I are here to inform and entertain and give our opinion. Will and any other beat writer who works for an outlet like that, they give their opinion through the form of journalism, right? Online nowadays. I don't know, Diesel, I don't know that you can have integrity. And again, I'm not trying to attack Will in any way here. I love Will. I don't know if you can have integrity in your job and truly say Clemson didn't backdoor their way in. Yeah, they won a bunch of conference games in the worst conference there is, but Miami absolutely squandered away the opportunity, just like you said a minute ago, Diesel, to play in the title game. Clemson had no business being there. Clemson had a terrible Saturday until Miami lost to Syracuse, Diesel. I just find it hard, and this is why I say a lot of things like I did Saturday on Twitter about Clemson media. I find it hard to understand why we can't do our jobs without orange glasses on. And I want to ask the Tolos the same question. Do you believe it's unfair or fair for me or Diesel to say they backdoored their way in?
Yeah, I understand that when you are a media member who covers a team, that is what you've staked your your professional reputation on. That's what you're staking your livelihood on. It doesn't necessarily behoove you to start poo-pooing on everything that team does.
Sure.
I mean, there's always that one who will do it that way. And then there's always a handful who want to maintain their access, who want to get a little bit closer to the program every chance they get by writing a bunch of fluff pieces and a bunch of puff pieces and always saying positive things and sweeping the negative under the rug or not even covering the negative at all.
Yeah.
Look, and it really is it's a difference in what the profession entails. You know, we have maintained on this station for a long time that we're not journalists. We're not journalists. We don't go out and interview the offensive coordinators and the defensive coordinators. We're not sitting in those press conferences every single day. We're not the ones who are breaking the news and releasing the news that's coming out to you. We take that news that the journalists put out, and then we opine on that news. That is what we do on this side of the wall. So it's a different profession. And look, I understand how if all you do is crap on the team, crap on the coaches, crap on the decisions that they make, crap on the athletic director, crap on everything that's going on with other programs as well, crap on the donors, crap on the players, you are going to lose your access, or you're going to be so far outside of the building that they never let you in and you never get the actual scoops for your own sites.
Several texts coming in, and Diesel, I want to go off what you said there. We'll get to the text in just a second. It's interesting because everybody, even if a radio station tries to have the same philosophy, everybody has different philosophies in how they go about their job. You and I do, right? Everybody goes about their job differently. I will say, Diesel, I understand having access. I'm big on access. I'm big on maintaining relationships to have those access. I think it's important for you and I to do our job as well as a journalist. When I go cover a Clemson game or a South Carolina game and I'm acting as a journalist writing an article for our website, Fan Upstate, I also have to have the same integrity there, though, that I have right here and call it like I see it. That's the way I always have and always will. I just don't think it's fair to say they earned their spot when you look at the totality of this year and how bad the conference is.
Well, there's a difference between earning your spot and being in a spot because somebody else messed up and gave you access to that spot. I mean, that is not earning your spot at all. Earning it would have been beating Louisville and not being in a position where you were second or third in the conference.
Sure.
You got lucky because the one team that you needed to lose another conference game did. You're there. You can't take that away from the team. They are there, and them's the rules. That's fine that you're there, but don't give me this. They earned it. Don't give me this. They earned it. They needed someone else to lose. Their fate and their destiny was out of their hands. They didn't earn it. They got lucky to grab a hold of it because somebody else dropped the baton.
On Saturday, Diesel, the question we need to be asking to answer this question, you know how sometimes you have to ask a question to answer a question? The question you and I should be asking is, on Saturday at 4 p.m., when we knew the outcome of the South Carolina Clemson game, right? We knew where Clemson fans' minds were. We knew what happened against Louisville, as you just mentioned. Were we saying on Saturday night, before the Miami game happened, that Clemson earned an ACC championship? No, we weren't. But to your point, Miami absolutely dropped the ball against Syracuse. Still give credit to Syracuse and McCord and those guys. They played a great game. But let's not act like we've been having this conversation all year. Based on the year Clemson's had, Diesel, they have earned a spot in, and look what they've done.
Yeah, the difference is Clemson did not win their way in. Like with a last play or last game of the season win to break a tie, they needed somebody else to screw up to get into that position.
All right. We've got Dewey. We've got several texts to get to, but we prioritize our callers, so we'll go to the phone lines first. Our daily Dewey, 844-326-3663. What's up, Dewey?
Yes, first of all, I got to respond to that texter from yesterday. I bet you that's Rick. That's okay, though. I've been a Gamecock fan since kindergarten, and I will continue to be. I took offense to
What
that.
the text say?
And I talked positive and negative about Clemson, so he can. I don't know.
It was the texter that said Dewey's voice was fake.
Yeah,
and that it was all a shtick, and that he was a closet Clemson fan who was just trying to make South Carolina fans look stupid.
That's right.
Well, if I wanted to make them look stupid, I could do that, and I can make everyone look stupid, including myself. Secondly, I'm about to crap on y'all because I told you Shane Beamer was going to win SEC Coach of the Year, and he did.
Oh, did we not believe you when you said that?
No, you said on crack.
I don't know if Diesel and I said you were on crack, but okay.
You said I was on crack. And third of all, I agree with y'all about Clemson. They backed themselves into whatever they're going into, and that's wonderful. It sends a bad message, but it's good for the state of South Carolina because it brings positivity to South Carolina, the state.
We know you're all about positivity, Dewey.
Yes, and my upset picks.
You still there?
Yes.
Sound it out. Go ahead,
Georgia
dude.
over the Texas over Georgia.
Texas
over Georgia. Okay.
Congratulations, Dewey.
Good
We
job, Dewey.
appreciate that, even
Good
though
pick.
it took 35 minutes. But good pick, Dewey. So I agree. I agree with what
wait, he just took Texas over Georgia. The problem is Texas is the favorite.
Oh God, we'll swap that out for him.
Yeah,
We'll swap it.
We'll help him out.
We'll help you out, Dewey.
We'll give you Georgia.
Let's go to the text line. I do have some audio from Joel Klatt I'll get to in a few minutes. Texter says, what time are you planning to do the high school football segment today? Look forward to hearing your picks, specifically the 3A upstate matchup of BHP versus MVP. Thanks, says the texter. 3:45, we'll do that. Also, texter, that BHP MVP game tonight, I'm going to, covering the game. It should be a good one. It's going to be cold.
It will be. It will be, Cole. And there's one piece of news that, I brought to your attention a couple days ago. I think you had already heard it before I showed it to you, but we didn't cover it on the show yet. A change that's coming to potentially coming to the state of North Carolina and how they're going to handle some of these charter schools. And I want to get your thoughts on whether or not that's appropriate for South Carolina.
Yeah, we'll put that in a 3:45 segment because that is a good conversation. Texter says, I agree with Will. Clemson deserves to be in the ACC championship. Let's see. They won all but one of their conference games. Miami, I'm trying to look. Okay, that's all the text I can find. Texter says, let's get Marshall over Liberty +6, Leprechaun of Lyman. I'm sorry,
Louisiana.
Marshall over Louisiana. Good fix there. Justin wants Marshall +5 over Louisiana as well. Diesel.
And, Percy wanted SMU +2 over Clemson.
Heck yeah, Percy. Good to hear from you. And that's a reminder to get your upset picks in. So we're having the conversation, if you just tuned in, about whether or not Clemson backdoored their way in. Diesel, I want to get your reaction to this piece of audio. It's about 60 seconds from Joel Klatt on if Clemson somehow, some way were to win on Saturday, where they would end up in the rankings, according to Joel Klatt, and your reaction.
The number one overall seed is going to be, in my estimation, Oregon. With a win on Saturday in the Big Ten championship game, Oregon would be number one. I've got Texas winning the SEC, and Texas would be the 2 seed. They're slotted in there, and there's the Texas Longhorns. Now it gets a little bit interesting because, remember, I picked Clemson to beat SMU, which means that the next highest ranked team that I have winning and winning a conference is Boise State at number 3. So Boise would be the 3 seed because I've got Arizona State winning the Big 12 and not passing Boise in the rankings. I don't think that they're going to pass Boise. So in the event that Clemson wins, which I have them winning, Boise's going to be the 3 seed, not the 4. They're going to get a bye. They'll be the 3 seed, and Arizona State will be the 4 seed and get a bye because guess who won't pass them in their college football playoff berth? Clemson. So Clemson would be the 5th champion, and I believe they would be the 12 seed. They would be the team that's included in this playoff. They played themselves into this playoff, and Clemson would be the 12 seed. Again, based on my picks in the conference championship games. There's the 5 champions.
Diesel, your immediate reaction to that, as well as reaction from the Tolos as well, on Clemson possibly being 12.
Clemson being 12. I mean, I think that's appropriate. Clemson is currently ranked 17th, I think, in the CFP top 25. I don't think there's any reason why they should jump anyone at this point. I got no problem with that. I got no problem with, are we really having a problem with the team with the most number of losses in this playoff being the 12 seed? Like, are we arguing that now? I can't really fathom it.
No, I'm with you. You know, it's interesting because, and we're going to get into this later in the show, it goes back to the point of eliminating the conference for the 4 conference champions having a bye. So, again, if Clemson were to win, you could argue they could be 4, but they could also be 12. That's a big jump.
So Cole, I've heard a lot of people argue this over the last couple of days, arguing about eliminating the conference championship buys. What's the point in playing a conference championship game?
Yeah. What's
the point in striving as much as you possibly can to win every game in your conference if you're not rewarded? You're people talk about devaluing the regular season. That's how you devalue the regular season, because then it doesn't matter what you do outside of being in the top 2 in your conference. It doesn't matter if you win your conference or your conference championship game or not, because you're not earning anything by winning it. See, like, I know a lot of people look at the U.S. Constitution like it's kind of a convoluted document. Like, there's checks and balances, and this overweighs that, and that overrides that. And it may seem a little silly at times, but those things were built in for a reason. This is built in for a reason. The 5 conference or the 4 highest ranked conference champions getting a bye is built in for a reason, to make the regular season matter. Instead of just going off of opinions on how good a team is, you have to go win your conference. That is the only guaranteed way to get in. Outside of that, it's up to the committee and their opinion. And we all know how people feel about the committee and their opinion.
Texter says, I've been ripping Clemson more than anyone, but you have to, all caps, earn enough wins to put yourself in the position to get lucky to have Miami drop the ball. I agree with that, Texter. You have to be good enough to put yourselves in the position. I'm not pushing back on that. They did put themselves in that position. However, they did not fully guarantee themselves a bid to the ACC championship because of the loss to Louisville. So they had to rely on some help, which is a backdoor in. Texter says Clemson hasn't had a season to deserve getting in the playoffs, but come on, the Big 12's worse than the ACC. Texter, Clemson is not ranked 12th, says the 419, only a flawed system lets them in. They think it's not a high enough seed, question mark.
Yeah, it's not. We're not talking about their ranking. We're talking about their seeding.
Yeah, seeding.
Their seeding.
And what could be on Sunday after the win.
Yeah, and
if they were to win.
There's still going to be some shuffling here, you know? I mean, what if Texas boat races Georgia? Then now you're talking about Georgia falling down a little bit farther, and maybe Boise State moving up a little bit.
Sure.
I mean, we're going to talk about it in the next segment here, what's on the line with some of these conference championship games, and there's a potential for a big time shakeup at the number 1 spot over the next 48 hours.
Yeah. No, there is. Texter says what devalues the regular season is not making teams play one ranked team and get in the playoffs or losing to NIU at home.
What do you mean making someone play ranked teams? You're not making anyone play any amount of ranked teams. It's based on what happens to be the case at the time, right? It's whatever somebody at the AP decides early in the season with a small amount of data. Boom, you can count those as ranked wins right out of the gate if you want to. Sometimes people will take away a ranked win because a team was 24 when you beat them, but then you beat them and they fall out of the top 25, so it's no longer a ranked win. Like, make that make sense. So I like to go off of ranking at the time, not ranking at the end of the season, because what if you beat a ranked team that's number 10 in the country in week number 2, and then their star quarterback goes down, and things fall off the rail. Did you beat a lesser team at that point? No, they were only lesser after you played them that you didn't have anything to do with. And so your win over them is being devalued through no fault of your own.
So the final thing that I'll say to put a bow on this segment before we run about the article from the Clemson Insider, I do believe that there is value in setting yourself up to be in the position. To the texter's point, Clemson did that. I don't know if I said something yesterday to Will to spawn this article that he wrote yesterday evening, but I still do believe as of today at 3:20 that when you do your job, whatever your job is, you have to do it with integrity of actually calling it like you see it. And I think if you look at the facts here, you can see that Clemson did indeed backdoor their way into the ACC championship.
When we come back, Cole, let's get back into these conference championship games. Let's look at each one of them and really kind of parse what's on the line in these championship games. And would it be smart for Texas to make another bold request from the SEC if they win on Saturday? That's coming up next on the Fan Upstate. I'm really sad, Cole, that we're not going to get a chance to see if Uga tries to bite Bevo on the ass again, because
dog on would that be dog on
bovine?
Yeah,
dog on cow violence. Yeah, well, the SEC told Texas, sorry guys, you can't bring Bevo to the game. There's not enough room on the sidelines, basically. Sorry, we can't construct a pen down there for this 1,000-pound animal. And I'm sure Texas is whining and crying, we're not going to win the game now because we can't look over there and see a steer and smell cow poop. We don't know how to play if we can't work in those conditions. So that's going on. That's what's happening with Texas and the championship game. They were going to, I guess, fly Bevo, tranquilize him, fly him to Atlanta and bring him out. But sorry, you can't do it. The SEC told him no. But Cole, we know Georgia has been on an epic run the last couple of years, and Georgia, when they play games in Atlanta, it's like literally going to the next county over and essentially having a home game. And we know that Atlanta is a hub for a hell of a lot of Georgia graduates.
It is.
It's essentially a home game. Anytime Georgia plays in Mercedes-Benz Dome, it is a home game for the Georgia Bulldogs. And I wonder, Cole, because you know as well as I do that Dallas and Jerry World is a big-time hub for big-time events. I wonder if Texas wins the game, if they'll appeal to the SEC to move the championship game from its traditional home in Atlanta to Dallas. I mean, like I said, Jerry is great at getting big events to come to his arena.
Yeah. So
why wouldn't Jerry Jones throw a tremendous amount of money and marketing dollars and ad revenue, et cetera, to the SEC if you said, hey, we know you've been there in Atlanta. Atlanta's been good to you. But guess what? Uncle Jerry's going to take better care of you than they will.
It's interesting. I don't know what the turnout will be this Saturday. It'll be interesting to see.
Sold out, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, in terms of fan base split, if
right.
it'll be more Georgia than Texas. Texas travels well. I just don't know if they'll be, like you said, it's basically a home game. I just don't know if they'll have as much attendance as Georgia will have. Here's the problem.
Capacity is 71,000. So you're talking about flying potentially 35,000 screaming, stinking Texas fans to Atlanta.
The thing about it is, though, here's the challenge. You can't make it neutral every year unless you pick the site after the teams are announced, right?
So a neutral site this year would be New Orleans. That'd be a great spot.
New Orleans. And obviously that would be tough to do year after year because you don't know who would be there. I am surprised it's been in Atlanta as long as it has. I believe 1992, a very long time since the SEC title game's been played there. I would say, though, what does Dr. Pepper have to do with it being in Atlanta in terms of the roots? I don't know. I have no idea if Dr. Pepper's based out of Atlanta or has roots there or has a sway or influence in the game being there. But Dr. Pepper's been a sponsor of that thing for a long time.
We have eroded so many of the traditions from college football just over the last 3 or 4 years, right? We've changed a tremendous amount in this game. What's wrong with just having it in the same site every year? You know where the game is going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, if the other team doesn't like that Georgia is getting essentially a home game in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, hope that somebody else on the other side beats them.
Well,
hope that Tennessee gets there.
That's right.
Hope that South Carolina or Florida or somebody else like that gets into the title game, and then it's not a problem. But it's just that right now, Georgia is really good, and they keep getting into that position. I mean, what if it was Texas, Alabama? Yeah. It's essentially a neutral site. Yeah, it's a little closer to Alabama. You got to drive through Alabama to get there. 11 hours from Dallas to Atlanta. I just looked that up. You got to drive through Alabama to get there. But I mean, it kind of goes back to something I bring up so often with people who want to tweak the structure of the playoff to get the results that you want. You can't do that. You can't do that because the moment you try to set up a new rule to make sure you get the outcome that you want, life finds a way, and somebody will swerve around that rule and break that rule. And then you're going to say, now we got to make another rule and another rule and another rule. and then it's no fun anymore.
Here's a little bit of history. The first 2 SEC championship games ever were held at Legion Field in Birmingham, Alabama. From 1994, though, until 2016, the game was played at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, and then obviously it closed, 17, Mercedes-Benz, still same city, but Dr. Pepper has been the sponsor of that bowl since 1994. And I don't know if they have any say in terms of being able to move this thing. God. However, here's what I'll tell you.
As long as Forrest Gump's out there drinking about 13 Dr. Peppers.
That's true.
They're going to stay in business. They're going to have the money.
I don't mind it being in Atlanta because it seems like everything else is in Texas. SEC Media Days.
Sure.
Did they used to be in Atlanta before they went to Texas?
No, they were always in.
Oh, it was Alabama. Hoover.
Yeah, it was in Hoover. Yeah.
Hoover to Texas. It's a long way for a lot of people to get to Texas if they're covering the SEC on the East Coast, like you and I are. So I like it in Atlanta. I hope it stays there because, the SEC, it doesn't go any farther west than Texas.
And look, the SEC, Atlanta was centralized to the old SEC.
Yeah.
And ever since the league has continued to grow west, pick up Missouri, Arkansas before that, and then A&M, and then Texas and Oklahoma.
Sure.
Yeah, they're out there on the geographic outline, and if they didn't like it, they shouldn't have joined the conference.
I just don't like that because Texas is dominant. I don't want us to cater everything around Texas.
Here's what I like about what the SEC has done with Texas and their way in. The SEC has not bent over backwards for Texas the way that the Big 12 did, because Texas knew that they could bend the Big 12 over, right? The whole penalties for a horns down signal, and they made that very clear when Texas was coming into the SEC that was not going to be a penalty in the conference. I wonder if Texas fans and players were all that offended by the horns down, or if they just figured, hey, we could maybe invent something that we are offended by.
Yeah.
And then if we raise a big enough stink about it, we're not really offended by it, but if we raise a big stink about it, maybe we could pick up some penalty yards along the way.
Here's interesting, mad about everything. God, I keep saying Madcraft, but it's hard, and it's my freaking fault because I'm the one that told him to change his name. JB, by the way, chimes in on the YouTube stream and says, Tolo, mad about everything, says Dr. Pepper's based in Texas. Coke is based in Atlanta, so God, it might seem as if, there might be legs if they're already based in Texas.
Is that why traditionally people say that people from the South call everything a Coke, whether it's a Coke or not?
But they own Dr. Pepper, right?
I thought Dr. Pepper.
James says.
Isn't Dr. Pepper a Pepsi product?
Is it?
Isn't it?
I don't know.
Because isn't Mr. Pibb have I had those reversed? I don't know, man. It's hard to keep track of all these
brands. Mr. Pibb's the best one.
They buy and sell. Yeah, you've never had Dr. Thunder, my friend.
I remember the old cans, though, man. The old cans, Dr. Thunder, the off-brand. Is that like the store brand, right?
I think so, yeah.
Texter says Dr. Pepper's owned by a German conglomerate. Berlin Stadium available? ? God, don't even get us started. Please don't.
Yeah, let's move the SEC championship game overseas. Yeah. How about that?
Germany.
We got to grow the game somehow.
Michael in Simpsonville says the Big 12 needed Texas. The SEC doesn't need Texas. That's a good text. Yeah. I like the attitude.
Yeah.
But they'll gladly accept them. They don't need them, but they'll gladly take them. James on the Facebook stream does say, he says, FYI, the Coke headquarters is from Atlanta, being that Coke owns Dr. Pepper. But Mad says, no, Dr. Pepper Snapple is there. I'm so confused.
I think the answer is none of y'all know.
Nobody really knows.
Nobody's Googled it. People are just going off of, I think so. Yeah, back in my day when my dad worked for Dr. Pepper,
I just Googled
it. Was a Snapple company.
Google AI overview.
Oh, good.
Says, no, Coca-Cola does not own Dr. Pepper. So Dr. Pepper ownership, Keurig. Dr. Pepper owns
Dr. Pepper now?
Yeah, there's actually a Keurig Dr. Pepper plant here, a new one in the upstate.
Are you telling me that I could make Dr. Pepper out of a Keurig pod machine?
Maybe coming soon.
Oh my God. I got a Keurig in my office.
I don't know.
I got a charcoal grill in there too. Engineering doesn't know about.
Just because we're on the subject, Coca-Cola does own Sprite, Fanta, Powerade, Dasani.
It's not Sprite anymore. right? Didn't they change the name of Sprite? It's not Sprite anymore.
Are you serious?
Or is it the Pepsi version of Sprite that they changed?
Oh, you're talking about the drink we
Starry.
had downstairs? I think that's
Starry.
Pepsi.
That is a
It's
Pepsi
good, though.
product.
It's good. It's good.
What did they call it before?
It was
Help us out, Tolo.
No, I know what you're talking about. It was the Sierra Mist.
Sierra Mist.
Starry's
dumb name. That sounds like a stripper's name, honestly.
Well, Starry's
Coming to the main stage. Sierra Mist.
I like the story pretty good. But also to answer your question, Coke does own Mr. Pibb.
Gotcha.
See, I thought Dr. Pepper.
It's hard to keep track.
It is hard to keep track. Now we're all over
when
the
a
place.
German coffee cup pod manufacturing company now owns Dr. I can't keep
We
track.
talk about something related
Yeah.
to food, though, and the text line blows up more than it did.
Yeah, see?
Texter
I'm
says,
sure there's some Tolo out there and say, get back to sports,
yeah,
guys.
why are y'all talking about this?
We talk about it, and look at that. We've got a page full of messages on the stream.
100.
We got 30 text messages on the text line. It's common interest, man. It's every man conversation.
Texter says Mizra's corn chip gets Diet Dr. Thunder when I'm in charge of groceries. I didn't know there was such thing.
I grew
Diet
up on
Dr.
Czech Cola. My dad was a Czech Cola man.
See, I liked RC.
It's because Czech was a Winn-Dixie store brand, and he worked for Winn-Dixie for years and years and years.
You like RC?
I do like RC.
Those
Cola.
were good.
Yeah,
Something
I
about that,
always
man.
get it like as a nostalgia drink. Whenever I don't drink a lot of sodas anymore, period.
Yeah.
But when I did, and if I saw a machine that had an RC Cola, bam, I'm going for RC. Knee highs, the ones you can't
Great
get.
knee high.
Yeah,
Oh,
buddy.
God.
Yeah,
What was
I
better?
need to go down to Mass General store right now and get one
They
in a
still
glass
have 'em?
bottle. Oh yeah,
Man.
they got all of them.
Well,
They got all of them.
it's hard. I'm not going to lie. It's hard to beat a grape knee high.
I'm
I
telling
mean,
you.
those were – there's not any sugar in those things or anything. But Texter says Big 12 game already in the works in Jerry's world. Oh, no, Big 12 game already in Jerry's world.
Well, hey, that wouldn't stop Jerry from doing two of them, right?
Yeah. No, it wasn't. Back to back,
Texter
right?
says Czech Cola Black Cherry was the best. Yeah, it was, man.
So Dr. Pepper also sponsors the Big 12 championship too, by the way, that's at AT&T Stadium.
They got their fingers in every pie.
Woo!
Telling you.
They got a little bit of
Telling
money they're spending there.
Yeah, see, I grew up drinking Czech Cola and watching Mark Martin drive the Czech
Mark
Cola
Martin.
car
Oh, yeah.
in the Busch series.
Mark Martin.
And it's always going to be the Winston Cup series to me. It's always going to be the Busch series. Stop trying to change the names. I'm never going to call it X. It's Twitter. Stop trying to get me to change. Stop.
I think I say half and half. Sometimes X, sometimes Twitter, sometimes there's no really good combination.
So, Cole, we've almost blown through this entire break. Haven't even talked about what's on the line in some of these conference championship games. But have you fathomed what could happen and the massive shakeup that we could have inside the top 4 or 5, depending on what Penn State does against Oregon in the Big Ten championship? That's going to be massive. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that Penn State knocks off Oregon in the Big Ten championship. Boom, Oregon's going to fall out of the number 1 spot. Penn State sitting right now at what, I believe 3 off the top of my head.
Yeah.
You got Texas at 2. So if Georgia beats Texas, Penn State beats Oregon, you're talking about a massive shakeup inside that top 5, maybe even 6, depending on
No, I think they do
how
6.
those games look, because then you're talking about who may move up and backfill behind them. I think this is absolutely fascinating. And look, we said it in the last segment that people don't like this structure. They don't like that a team can backdoor their way into the 12-team playoff just by winning a conference championship game when they're so far down ranked and lost 3-4 games, whatever it may be.
And Penn State's 3 right now.
Penn State's 3.
Mm.
Yeah.
How far would they drop, though?
If Oregon lost to Penn State,
No, if it
if Penn State beats Oregon, I think, it all depends on what happens around them. Oregon could fall as low as 4. I doubt it. I think in all likelihood they just swap and Oregon goes to 3, because then it depends on what happens in the Texas-Georgia game. If Texas wins, Texas moves up. Penn State probably slides into the 2-hole.
And I know we didn't talk about this a lot because we were consumed with
Leave that alone, you dirty-minded. Tolos.
promo. With South Carolina Clemson talk, we didn't get to this, but was it fair that Ohio State only fell to 6? I mean, we're talking about this late in the season.
They should have after losing to what were they, 6-6 Michigan?
Yeah.
7 win, 6 win Michigan.
Yeah.
They should have fallen more because Michigan's
so
been
too.
down bad all season long. We've been saying, whoa, what's going on with Michigan, right? So Ohio State certainly got some benefit of the doubt. I mean, mad about everything has been going off on the SEC bias. Why aren't you going off on the Big Ten bias?
Oh,
why are you not going off on the Ohio State bias? Can you wrap your minds around two things at the same time?
Look at Tennessee, though. They lost to Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
They won 2 straight.
Mm-hmm.
That loss to Georgia was November 16th, so not quite a month ago. You would think that they would have fell behind Tennessee and maybe even SMU.
What was the final score of Georgia-Tennessee?
Georgia-Tennessee score was 31-17.
Okay, so a 2-touchdown win for Georgia. Was it at Georgia or was it at Tennessee?
It was in Athens at Georgia.
So a 14-point road loss to a top 10 team. Don't remember where they were at the time. I don't really look at that and say that's such a bad loss. It's not great.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's so much that it knocks you way, way down. Ohio State should have fallen more than they did.
No, I'm with you. All right, a texter asked for it, and we will deliver. I will give my high school football picks in the very next segment, give you my thoughts on the games tonight. Any questions you may have, send them in. High school football upper state championships tonight, 71307. Start your text with the word fan. A big night in the upper state championships happening tonight. We talked to Mark Hodge, the head football coach of the Spartanburg Vikings, yesterday. If you missed that interview, you can go back and listen to it anytime at thefanupstate.com. That is where you can go and listen to past segments. But a lot of other games happening tonight as well. Right here in the upstate, it's gonna be a cold one tonight, Diesel, as I just put the list of games on the rundown for you and I to see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in our coverage area. Texter asked in the very first segment if or when I was going to do my picks. And I finally went 11-0 last week. It was the first time all year I was undefeated, but it took 14 weeks, I believe. But tonight's games: Spartanburg at Dutch Fork, Northwestern at Gaffney, Westside is hosting South Point, Belton Honeypath is at Mountain View, Fairfield Central is at Clinton, and Louisville is at Abbeville. Before I give my picks, though, Diesel, I do want to get into the conversation you brought up earlier about something that could be on the horizon for North Carolina teams.
Yeah, there's, I guess, a petition going around among high school coaches and athletic directors in the state of North Carolina that would essentially put charter schools in their own bracket and would essentially take away the advantage of the schools who can recruit and put together all-star teams. And I wanted to get your thoughts on if you're hearing, is there any similar kind of push for that to happen here in the state of South Carolina? And do you think it's the appropriate thing to happen?
Do I think it's the appropriate thing to happen? Again, you're asking me, just my opinion. Diesel, I 110% think it should happen. I think that you should be competing, and again, no disrespect to those schools, but I believe you should be competing with schools who are playing by the same rules that you're playing by.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It sounds to me as if you're essentially saying create another division where you can play regular season games against prep schools if you want to, if that's what you choose to do. But they're playing for their own state title. Sure. You're playing for your state title.
And I believe it was the board. There was a board in North Carolina, Diesel, that was actually trying to take it to the committee or whoever runs the North Carolina School Board. To answer your second question, I haven't heard anything about it in South Carolina. I don't know that I have a ton of faith in our leadership at the high school league to actually get that done. Again, I have a ton of respect for the players and the coaches that are coaching at those charter schools. I do. However, I think at the end of the day, when the postseason arrives, they should be playing in their own brackets. If you can recruit players from any part of the county without having zoning lines or zoning boundaries, yeah, I think you should be playing against schools that also operate in the same manner.
So essentially a separate state title just for prep schools.
That's right. Yep, for the charter schools,
that's interesting. And then if you wanted to, I guess you could play state champ of a public school versus a state champ of a charter school if you wanted to.
So here are my picks tonight. I'll give you a brief synopsis on what I think is going to happen. I will start by saying this was the toughest week that I've picked because you get upper state championship, Diesel, and as you know, you've got two good teams, two deserving teams. It's tough to make a selection. However, I'm going to start with Spartanburg at Dutch Fork. Rob Jones, across the hall, good friend of ours. He laughed at me earlier when I told him my pick tonight. I'm taking Spartanburg to go down the Dutch Fork and pull what would be an upset. We had Mark Hodge on yesterday. I believe they're due. I believe they know what it takes to win, Diesel.
They lost to Dutch Fork 24-6.
24-6, yeah, something like that.
Earlier in the season.
And they've played them already. To your point. So I think the second time around, Spartanburg's a different team now than they were then. I like Spartanburg tonight over Dutch Fork, and the Vikings, in my mind, will be playing for a state championship. Gaffney at Northwestern, this one's really tough to pick because I love Gaffney. I have a lot of friends there that are involved with the program and coach there, but I'm going with Northwestern tonight. It troubled me to make that selection, but I do think Northwestern gets the win with that game being in Rock Hill tonight at District 3 Stadium. I'll take Northwestern there. South Point at Westside, I am picking Westside. BHP at Mountain View Prep, the game that I'll be at. I think that's the best game of the night in 3A. You've got Marquise Henderson, Clemson commit at running back for BHP. And then on the other side, you've got MVP's running back who is absolutely phenomenal, who transferred from Broome, Diesel, and you talk about two really good running backs. I like what the matchup we're going to see tonight. However, the cold factor is going to be an important factor tonight because
are you wearing that?
I've got more clothes.
Do you have like little pockets all over the inside to line your jacket with those little hand warmers?
No, not yet, but I need them. I need them, man.
You're a hunter. I'm surprised you don't have one of those like battery powered warm suits.
I saw one of those the other day, actually.
How much are those?
Oh, they're high.
Like
they're high.
4?
No, I think more like 2 to 3. 2 to 3.
All right,
yep.
That's not that bad.
So Jalen McGill versus Marquise Henderson tonight should be special. I'm going with BHP to give Mountain View Prep their first loss. Fairfield Central at Clinton. Clinton's had a fantastic year, but I think their season comes to an end tonight.
That is JD's high school alma mater, right?
Clinton. Yep. He's a Clinton Red Devil.
See, I remember things about you guys.
The very last one, Louisville at Abbeville. It's hard to pick against Abbeville. I'm going with Abbeville tonight. So those are the 6 upper state championships happening with teams in our coverage area.
When we come back, Matt Smith of Sports Talk Media Network. Cole, I just want to know what it is that our next guest, Matt Smith, had to say to you when he thought I wasn't on the show today. You two over there giggling like little schoolgirls. When Smitty thinks I'm not on the line, come on, Smitty.
He was very confused because I'm usually at a high school game.
Yeah.
And I wasn't today, and I answered the phone. So he was confused.
Come on, Cletus. Say what you want to say. Come on. Matt Smith, how are you, pal?
Well, we say the same thing to your face that we say behind your back. You're a hillbilly. You went to App State. I asked I assumed you were dancing barefoot somewhere or burning a couch. Oh no, he's just sitting on his front porch burning a couch, and he's got Camaro up on.
Well, what do you do on a Friday afternoon?
Well, that is what I do normally. As you know, I went to college right by Arcadia in South Carolina. So
we got more in common than you think.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fair. Matt Smith, Sports Talk Media Network, coming at you out of the Myrtle Beach market on his daily show over there. Make sure you check him out on all the social medias. Matt, I just want to jump right into kind of the second biggest story involving Clemson. The biggest is, of course, playing SMU in the title game. But I think what Clemson fans should be concerned about more than what happens in this game is what's going to happen to them next year, because this 2025 recruiting class is not shaping up the way they want it to be. They're having key pieces who are now transferring out. We had the story earlier today that Troy Stellato is transferring out of the program. This is Dabo's weakest recruiting class since his first recruiting class at Clemson. How concerned are you? And the $1 million question, will this force Dabo's hand into being a little more aggressive in the portal?
I wish I had a firm answer, but I certainly think there is now room for concern, because I believe, the book on Dabo Swinney and the way he's done things is, hey, if he's going to keep players there, they're going to develop. And if he's going to be loyal to players and not go try to recruit over them in the transfer portal, say to a group of wide receivers, you're my guys. I'm not going to search for different.
We lose you?
Card, keep your head down, and you're going to be part of this Clemson attack. And you would think, well, who would that appeal to? High school players coming in. That's what they want to hear. They want to hear that when they get there, they'll have the opportunity to win playing time, that their coach is going to be loyal to them, and their coach is essentially committing to them for 4 years, and you're committing to that coach for 4 years. But now we have evidence that there are actually players who are concerned that Clemson is sliding, like the player that flipped, the safety that flipped from Clemson. Their concern is that actually the Tigers are sliding, and that there's going to be issues, as you mentioned, in the future, and that they're going to, not going to be the same kind of program that those kids grew up watching. And that's the real red flag to me. The fact that players were flipping. In other words, if Dabo was going to do well, he should be doing well with high school kids. So for them to start to turn their backs and look elsewhere, and maybe NIL is a part of it, I don't know. Graham Neff had a big, letter he sent out 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago that, all the things that Clemson is doing and committing to in terms of NIL. I don't know. That's something I try not to pay that close attention to, but that made certain the transfer portal and NIL, that's really, that's what the high school kids are talking about and searching for right now.
Smitty, we opened the show today with an article from the Clemson Insider, and it was funny. I don't know if we spawned this article. We may have, we may not have, but we had a good friend, Will Vandervoort of the Clemson Insider, on yesterday, in about the 4 o'clock hour. And then about 7, 8 o'clock, there was an article about a radio guy saying Clemson backdoored their way into the postseason, or into the ACC championship, rather. Will basically said that he believed Clemson earned their spot into the ACC title game. I've said, as well as Diesel all week, Smitty, that they did backdoor their way into that ACC championship game. What do you believe?
Well, they earned it because, if Miami would have played Syracuse in week 2, they would have, they could have lost then, and Clemson actually would have been ahead of things. But what I think you really are hitting on here that has everybody's attention is that when Dabo Swinney opened his press conference on Tuesday, he was asking, why the long faces, essentially. Hey, this is a great day. What a great opportunity Clemson has. But everybody kind of knows the truth. The truth is they saw the fact that Clemson wasn't able to corral Lenore's Sellers. Now, I thought Clemson played terrific. They just lost to South Carolina in a close game. It was a really, really close game. But South Carolina, one of the hotter teams in the nation, but they're probably not better than the third or fourth team best in the SEC. So where does that put Clemson? I think the reason, and the reason you say backdoor their way in potentially to the ACC championship and then backdoor their way in almost potentially into the college football playoff is no one out there thinks that this is the same Clemson team that we saw under Trevor Lawrence when Brent Venables was the defensive coordinator, that was capable of these monster games against big top two opponents in the country, knocking off Alabama and teams like that in that Saban era. No one thinks this is a Clemson team like that. They see that they're flawed. So to make the ACC championship, it's not as if this is a team that everybody is rallying around saying, watch out, no one wants to see Clemson if they make the college football playoff. That's not really the circumstance here. The circumstance here is Clemson's a little bit lucky to still be playing meaningful football right now.
Matt Smith of Sports Talk Media Network joining us right here on the Fan Upstate Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Smitty, what have you seen that SMU does that you believe compares favorably to what Georgia, Louisville, and South Carolina did in their victories over Clemson? We had a listener bring it up that SMU has a phenomenal quarterback that really throws the ball all over the field really, really well. Is that going to be a big-time area of concern for Clemson?
Well, they also had trouble. They had a lot of trouble stopping the run against Louisville, remember. If we think back to what happened in that ball game. And I don't know that Clemson was a fully formed team when they lost 34-3 to Georgia. I mean, I'm not going to give them a break for that loss. That's part of the resume. But, I don't think they would lose 34-3 if they played them again. I think they've improved and they know a little bit more about who they are in terms of personnel and what they can rely on now. Louisville, they couldn't stop the run, clearly. And against South Carolina, they did a lot of good things. They won some of those one-on-one matchups at the wide receiver position. They, for the most part, had a really good game plan. Peter Woods was winning his matchup and putting consistent pressure on Lenore's Sellers. The only problem is they just couldn't tackle Lenore's Sellers. 18 broken tackles, according to Pro Football Focus. Now, SMU has a quarterback that can move a little bit, not to that same extent, but somebody that has some mobility. So that's an issue. And to me, statistically, I don't know. SMU didn't play that difficult a schedule. They had BYU, they had Louisville, they had a couple of other really good teams. But statistically, SMU is so stout against the run. I think only 4 yards per carry, or maybe even less per carry defensively. They just do a great job at stopping the run. And Phil Maffa, I'm going to credit Larry Williams said this a few weeks ago, and then I got more from David Hood at TigerNet.com. Phil Maffa's shoulder is definitely not right. You saw him leave the Carolina game. So I don't know that he's going to be the same physical presence in the run game that Clemson fans are used to. I actually think after seeing Maffa leave the game against South Carolina, I think the Clemson coaching staff seriously has to consider featuring Jay Haynes more in this game. And it's not because Phil Maffa is not outstanding. He is better than 1,000 yards on the season, but I don't think he's the same guy right now because of that hurt shoulder. I don't know that he's going to be the same physical presence. You saw he had no chance of picking up 4th and 1 early in the game against South Carolina. That wasn't blocked well, but also that pile moved backwards as well more than it was moving forward in that game. That's the injury. So I think that's an issue. And also SMU, Rhett Lashley, great play caller. And when have we seen Clemson go up against a great play caller earlier this season? Big Game Brom, Louisville. They looked at everything that Wes Goodwin does defensively, and they had an answer for it. And Louisville had what I thought was perhaps the best game plan all season long against Clemson, both defensively and offensively. Well, Rhett Lashley is in that same class, and he's been putting everybody in the blender, as they say, this year for SMU because they're talented. They're talented, but also more often than not, he and his staff are out coaching the opposition. That's an issue for me looking forward. I think there's a possibility SMU attacks Clemson the same way Louisville did, which is to say they've got plan A, plan B, and plan C. And I don't know that Clemson can counter all that Rhett Lashley is going to be able to throw at them.
Smitty, you mentioned Jay Haynes getting more carries. That was one of the things I heard from a lot of Clemson fans after South Carolina's loss, or the loss to South Carolina, was why he didn't get more carries. That's on the offensive side of the ball, questions when it comes to coaching. On the defense side of the football, Sammy Brown, I guess, went to the SO club during the fourth quarter as he was not on the field. Somebody has to take accountability for these poor coaching decisions in games, Smitty. Who do you think it'll be, and would it surprise you to see some changes at coordinator positions in the next couple of weeks?
No, I guess I wouldn't be shocked. I would not be shocked. And truthfully, I think Wes Goodwin, the too many big plays given up by this team this year. There's some statistics out there. There's a metric for everything now. But one of the things Clemson did was just give up too many chunk plays, especially on the ground. Now, is that all Wes Goodwin's fault? I don't know. He's got assistant coaches, the position coaches, the players have to take accountability. I'm one of those people. I'm usually not all over a coordinator unless I know for certain I'm seeing them being out-coached. I think Clemson may have other issues that are larger. But here's the thing: Brent Venables moved on, took the head coaching job at Oklahoma. When he left, Clemson was had a tremendous reputation. They were one of the best defensive programs in college football. Wes Goodwin now is at the helm, and they are no longer one of the best defensive programs in college football. So who does that fall to? Well, ultimately it falls to Dabo Swinney.
Sure.
We all know he's not getting fired. So, yes, it may be time for a difficult conversation between Dabo Swinney and Wes Goodwin. And again, look, coaches, they come and go. They take different positions. We just saw who was it? It was just Tom Herman fired at Florida Atlantic. Well, you may remember Tom Herman got the Texas job, and everybody that knew anything about the industry said, there he is. There's the rising star. That's the next Nick Saban. That's the next Dabo Swinney. Well, now he can't keep the job at Florida Atlantic. So I'm always slow to either anoint coaches or necessarily call for their job and ask them to get fired. But if you ask me to read the tea leaves in terms of who's going to have to fall on their sword, Wes Goodwin is either going to have to take some sort of responsibility internally, or he may lose his job in front of the world so that Dabo Swinney can show that he's doing something to fix that defense.
Smitty, you know me as a graduate of an FCS school that's now a G5 school. I've always gotten on the soapbox for the smaller programs that have always had to punch up. It feels like in this situation that we're in, given things can still change in the 12
If State beat them straight up. Now, we've also seen a team like Hawaii go undefeated in the regular season and then get outclassed in the Sugar Bowl. So we've seen both sides of this. What I'm as interested in when you bring this up, Diesel, and I've been thinking about something you said earlier in the year, which was something about a G5 having its own tournament at the end of the year, which is growing on me more because I kind of, right now, knowing that football, we're faced with the fact that it's ending, I kind of want more of it. So I'm kind of, starting to head your way. But I'll say this about a team like Boise State or UNLV making this playoff. And if Boise State gets a bye in this particular tournament, what's going to be so fascinating. Does it elevate their recruiting? In other words, do they pay it off on the back end? Is it possible that Boise State is able to either win a game or play so competitively that the following year they start to recruit like an elite program? That's what I need to see. I need to know if they can do it, if they can get the support, because I know they can play football. We've got that. We know the guys at some of those G5 schools. We know they can coach. We know they can pull the upsets. We've seen App State do it for years and years and years. It wouldn't shock anybody if Boise State wins a game in this tournament. But can they pay it off on the back end by then luring other great players to come be a part of that program and treat it like it's a big boy program? That, to me, they're always in the wrong weight class, because they're usually recruiting kind of what we would say, the parlance is 2- and 3-star guys. Do 4-star players start to look at it differently if they can succeed in the playoffs?
Smitty, to give you a little preview of what we're diving into in the next segment, I have a solution to the college football playoff that would help immediately in my mind. So I want to give you a little preview of what we're going to talk about and get your thoughts on it. My immediate fix, maybe this is putting a Band-Aid on it, but I think it would help. I would like to, 1, eliminate the conference champions getting a bye. Number 2, completely get rid of the committee. And number 3, keep the 12-team playoff, but base it on metrics and formulas that actually have more of a weight than people sitting in a room eating cocktails and sipping on wine. What do you think about that?
Well, all right. So here's the first thing I'll say. I don't want to do this prematurely. You're saying fix the college football playoff, but we haven't seen it yet. So I would like to see it play out, before I start, pulling it apart like Jenga and pull it, like it's a house of cards. But some of what you say does carry some weight with me. And what's so interesting, football people can't even agree on most things. To me, what here with Sports Talk, some of the people that I work with, we will actually have a little text chain, and I'm the one that says, hey, you've got to take strength of schedule into account. And then some of the replies, I won't call anybody out because it's a private text chain, but some of the people texted back, I don't want a 3-loss team in the playoff no matter what. I don't care what their strength of schedule is. But I have a problem with that. I have a real problem with that, because I think strength of schedule, which, by the way, that's their own criteria. Strength of schedule is the first thing listed that they're going to take into account as a committee. So I think that's got to be in there. But that's what you're talking about. You're saying that instead of having the people weigh these things, strength of schedule, common opponents, head-to-head, conference championships, instead of them weighing it, actually have a computer do it. But when we bring the computers in, the issue there is they're only as good as the data that is put into those computers. So we have to come up with a formula beforehand. And what happened previously with the old BCS computers is we realized the formula was screwed up. That at the end of the year, sometimes we would get a third-place team in the computer rankings, and everybody would agree, well, that's not the third-best team in college football. We all know it. So you have to be careful with computers, too. They're imperfect because they're only as good as the data that humans are going to put in there either. So I want to see this play out. But what I want to see done more than anything else is they actually live up to the criteria they lay out. We all agreed beforehand. Strength of schedule is going to be a major factor. Okay. When this 12-team playoff is ready to be revealed next week, did you live up to the criteria you placed? If you want to put in, say, a 2-loss Miami over a 3-loss SEC team, that's fine by me in the future. But if you want to do that, then don't tell me strength of schedule matters. Tell me number of losses matter. Tell me that you're better off playing a soft schedule and going 11-1 or 12-0 or 10-2 than playing a difficult schedule and going 9-3. Everybody needs to know that before the season kicks off. If we all can agree on the criteria, that's fine. I just want to see them live up to the criteria that they laid out. Now, does that mean Alabama goes in? Maybe. And do I think that's the right choice? I don't know. How much time do you have? Because I think you could make a legitimate argument for Alabama South Carolina, even Miami with the win over Florida, and even if SMU loses to Clemson, I still think there's an argument there for a team like SMU. It's just hard because, and it's not their fault. Not their fault. They joined the ACC. They had nothing to do with their schedule this year. They brought in and said, look, we'll play BYU, got a couple of FCS teams, and we'll just play in the ACC and see what happens. So I'm not going to be too hard on SMU. And if you want to put them in, even if they lose a close one to Clemson, I'm probably okay with that. But I don't want to be knee-jerk and just throw the baby out with the bathwater. I want to see this playoff play out first year before we make any changes.
Yeah, and Smitty, that gets infinitely more difficult when you realize, schedules are put together sometimes 3, 4, 5, 6 years in advance, and you may think you're booking a cupcake, and they turn out to be a powerhouse by the time you play them, or vice versa. So, it's almost like we need to know the criteria 3 years in advance so that you can schedule based on that criteria and hope that it still works out, or you're going to have to schedule things right after those criteria come out for the upcoming season. And to your point earlier about Boise State and their recruiting, they are currently sitting at 76th in the country, not good, with not a single 4 or 5-star commit, 16 3-stars making up their 2025 class. Smitty, last thing we need from you is your upset pick. Who do you like in the week of the championship games?
Well, I don't know that I feel strongly about any. The lines in Vegas will tell you this week that there's a lot of evenly matched football teams, and with all the pressure on everybody, no one expects anybody to run away and hide this week. So I can't take, even though they're a short underdog, I can't take Georgia. I actually think Texas is playing better football right now. And I didn't like everything I saw from Georgia last week against Georgia Tech. So I kind of am going to take Texas there. So no underdog pick there. I haven't liked Penn State all season long, so it's hard for me to pick them. So I'm going to go out, and this is actually going to ruin your day. I'm going to pick UNLV. That, to me, they've got the best opportunity.
Tonight.
I believe they outgained Boise State the first time they played them. I think they have a good run defense. And if you can stop Ashton Genty, maybe the Heisman Trophy winner, but if you can slow him down, Boise State's not special in the passing game. So I'm going to take the running Rebels. I'm not saying I believe in it strongly, but if I've got to pick an underdog, I'm going to take the Rebs.
Well, you're just a couple of picks away, I think, from passing Cole up in this challenge.
Yeah, it's not hard to do.
So that's your big goal for right now, is to end the season with more points than Cole Bryson.
Oh, no, are we battling? Okay, this is like
Cole has 9.
Son is on the line. Okay.
Yeah, Cole has 9 points right now, Smitty. He's within reach.
No, I was going to say, I was going to defend myself a little bit. I won't do it. I had a couple of picks that I left, a couple logs I didn't throw on the fire that I mentioned. I mentioned Syracuse potentially beating Miami at the end of the year. I had Louisville giving Clemson trouble. I had Georgia Tech giving Miami trouble. But whatever, I didn't pick them. We just discussed them. So no credit.
Smitty, great stuff as always, man. We appreciate you hopping on with us, and we'll do it again soon.
All right. Talk later, guys.
That's Matt Smith, Sports Talk Media Network, joins us on Fridays. Always a pleasure talking Clemson and South Carolina with him. We'll get back into the discussion that the question that I asked Smitty about some fixes in my mind to the college football playoff. We fantasized yesterday toward the end of the show, but some fixes that I think would help. What are your thoughts on these? Diesel will give his thoughts as well next.
This is your opportunity, Tolos, for you to take the mic.
Tolo takeover, Scotty from BMW.
All these Carolina Gamecock fans complaining this week. Please go to a gynecologist and take care of your problems, because you guys are hurting like little rookies. I'm sick of it.
Cocky for a Reason is up next.
Oh, baby. Clemson's not a football school. They're not a baseball school. They might be a basketball school, but they're really a bicycle school because they're cycling out.
Let's go to Tom and bring him in.
I don't know what Scotty smoked today. He's over here trying to talk smack when his football team, which is not very good, lost to the Gamecocks at home. Again, he can go and enjoy
his JV Powder Puff Conference Championship. If you beat us, you can say whatever you want. But until you beat us, your little bro of the state.
Tom, didn't South Carolina lose to Clemson at home last year?
That was last year. That's not this year. That's not this year. Tell Cocky for a reason that Tom on Twitter, Cockball803, just followed Cocky for a reason. I need more Gamecock followers.
So you're saying Big Tom 69 at att.com is not you?
That is not me.
Rick.
I had the worst time I've ever had playing golf today. You want to know why?
Couldn't get it in the hole?
I went by myself. They put me with two women. We teed off. They wanted me to go first, so I hit the ball about 255 yards. Good drive. They drove it past me 75 yards. I said, what's your handicap? Well, I'm about a 4 handicapper, and I'm about an 8 handicap. I'm 30. I lost so much money today, I bet I lost $80.
Well, here's your problem, Rick. It's the modern age. Women can do stuff now.
One of them was 73 years old, and one of them was 19. I think it was his granddaughter or something.
Oh. You know what, Rick? Keep playing, keep practicing. One of these days, you might make the LPGA.
I don't think so. Them two women beat the crap out of me.
This is your opportunity, Tolos, for you to take the mic.
Tolo takeover, Scotty from BMW.
All these Carolina Gamecock fans complaining this week. Please go to a gynecologist and take care of your problems because you guys are hurting like little rookies. I'm sick of it.
Cocky for a reason is up next.
Oh, baby. Clemson's not a football school. They're not a baseball school. They might be a basketball school, but they're really a bicycle school because they're cycling out.
Let's go to Tom and bring him in.
I don't know what Scotty smoked today. He's over here trying to talk smack when his football team, which is not very good, lost to the Gamecocks at home. Again, he can go and enjoy his JV Powder Puff Conference Championship. If you beat us, you can say whatever you want. But until you beat us, your little bro of the state.
Tom, didn't South Carolina lose to Clemson at home last year?
That was last year. That's not this year. That's not this year. Tell Cocky for a reason that.
So I've got 3 Diesel. Which of the 3 do you like? Which of the 3 do you not like? I want to eliminate the conference champions, getting a bye. I also want to get rid of the committee. I also, thirdly, want to keep the 12-team playoff, keep it there, but base it on numbers, metrics, formulas, not people in suits who don't really know what they're doing. You have any issue with any of those, or you like them?
I have kind of an issue with all three. Cole.
Oh, no.
Kind of issue. Okay, so eliminate conference champions getting a bye.
Yep.
Do you want to eliminate conference champions getting an auto bid or just a bye? Like what if what if just for the sake of argument here,
Yep.
and this is not far off from what we've seen this year. What if Clemson and Arizona State, let's say those two, or Iowa State, either one, wins the Big 12?
Sure.
And you've got two teams that the computers, which it seems like this is what you want to do, is go back to more of a BCS computer-based output of the best 12 teams. What if they win their conference championship, but the computers don't see them as one of the 12 best teams?
So I would like for them to be, that's a good point. I would like for them to have a bid into the playoff, which I understand that could contradict what the formulas think. And if that team A that we're talking about was the 15th best team in the country. So I understand the problem with that. However, I don't want them, if you win a championship, I think you should be in. If you don't, it's changing colors.
So but if we are under the assumption that multiple conferences play a subpar schedule based on who they play in their conference, why should they deserve it at all? If you're saying I don't respect the teams that you're playing and beating, why should they get an automatic bid into a 12-team playoff anyway?
No, I'm fine with that. So if you came to me and said, "Hey, we can do it, but we cannot give them an automatic bid," I'd say that's fine. I'd be okay with that. However, here's the reason I say the conference champions getting a bye doesn't make sense. I don't think Clemson deserves a bye. I know it's not an actual lock. There's a possibility from the audio we heard from Joel Klatt earlier in the show that they could still finish 12. I don't think this Clemson team is deserving of getting an automatic bye when you look at other teams.
So you shouldn't be rewarded for winning the games in front of you and winning your conference?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying look at the total body of work in terms of who you've played, strength of schedule. What you did down the stretch obviously matters because, look at Miami. They're on the outside sitting in. I just don't know that when you win a conference championship, you should be automatically in a bye ahead of teams like maybe Tennessee.
So would you rather them not get a bye, but they do get a 1 through 5 seeding lock?
Mm-mm.
Okay,
No.
So let's just say Clemson comes in with the 17th ranked BCS output, power index, whatever you want to call it, right?
Right. Whatever it is, whatever you decide on.
So they jump to 12. If they are the last place of the teams that win their conference, and they are the lowest ranked conference champion, they automatically go to 12. And then whoever's right in front of them, let's just, for the sake of argument, say that Arizona State finished the season at 16 in this fictional BCS power ranking. Yeah. They would take the 11 seed. Is that what you want to go for?
Yeah,
because then you still have a team that the computer says is the 17th best team in the country, jumping 13, 14, 15, and 16.
Yeah.
So we're not really fixing the problem. We're just taking away the bye that they would get for winning their conference.
So here's the problem I think we are going to see, or possibly could see, Diesel. If Clemson wins Saturday, they're going to possibly get that bye, right? Let's say they do. Let's say they get a bye. They beat SMU. They're ACC champion winners. Georgia loses to Texas. Georgia is not getting a bye, even though Georgia has a head-to-head over Clemson where the game really wasn't close in the second half. My personal opinion, I don't think in that situation and scenario that Georgia should not have a bye while Clemson has a bye. I just don't see how, and again, I just don't understand how that makes sense. I get that Georgia didn't win their conference, but you look at other metrics, I just don't want the conference to have so much weight that other metrics can apply, if that makes sense.
Okay. I mean, look, I understand your logic here, but I want to figure out what it is you want to replace what it
Kelly
is
Ford.
we have.
Let's just put Kelly in charge. Is that okay?
Yeah, look, I mean, I like Kelly's idea where he brings together 7 or 8 different polls, 7 or 8 different blocks of data, and sort of aggregates what all of them like and what all of them think.
I just would rather have metrics than a committee. I would rather have numbers.
I get it.
Maybe even give the committee the metrics and say, hey, and again,
how do we know that the committee doesn't have Kelly Ford's metrics?
We don't
know that.
Yeah, we don't.
And somebody told us earlier this week that they have a tremendous amount of data. And so you're saying one of two things. You don't like the data that they have, or you think it's misrepresenting in some way.
Yeah.
And then you don't like their application of the data and how it may or may not affect their opinions.
I more so don't like what Smitty said. I don't like the ever-changing guidelines. I don't like the this is what you have to do, and then the next year it changes, and then the next year is something else. And Shane Beamer talked about that. We're just not going to – Diesel, I don't think year after year, I don't think we're going to see consistency from the committee, and I think that's my biggest issue.
It would be helpful if the committee, after – 2 or 3 years of a playoff structure, say, you know what, we've gone back and we've audited the decisions that we've made. We looked back at the minutes, the notes of our conversations, and we feel like maybe in year number 1 we overvalue this thing too much.
South Carolina
that
riot.
Or that thing too much. No, it's how you self-evaluate and determine whether or not you're doing a good job.
Sure.
Right. And I guess you could potentially, I think this would be flawed logic to do this as well. You could look at the bowl results of the teams that were just on the outside looking in. Hell, why not have South Carolina and Miami match up in a bowl game, which is essentially a consolation game, if you want to call it. But they could
Miami
use
would
that.
Lose, by the way.
They could use that data and say, you know what, I guess we were wrong about the winner of that game. And here's the lesson that we can learn by not putting that team in the playoff.
You know what it all comes down to? The reason, Diesel, we can have these conversations until, pigs fly. But the reason that we have the playoff now and don't have the BCS is
money,
the dollar. That is the reason.
You know what we wouldn't have if we had a BCS style computer readout just tell us who's in here?
This conversation.
We wouldn't have this conversation. We wouldn't have had it today, yesterday, on Wednesday, Tuesday, and Monday for the past 5 weeks in a row. We wouldn't have television shows that go on. We wouldn't have all these pundits talking about it. It breeds controversy. Everybody knew. Everybody knew going into this. This is what's so funny. Everybody knew going into this playoff, whether it was 10 years ago with the 14 playoff, whether it's now with the 12-team playoff. We all knew that this was going to breed controversy. And guess what? Everybody said, please, they had a bowl of it, spoon it into their mouth. People said, please give us more of that controversy. We love it. That's what's entertaining about this. And then when it doesn't play out the way that you want it to, all of a sudden, it's flawed. It's screwed. They're doing something wrong to this team. They don't know what they're talking about. They're a bunch of idiots.
But we cannot have the narrative that the reason they expanded the playoff was to get rid of the controversy, because there has been that narrative. They expanded it so Florida State fans won't be upset.
Mad About Everything says we need metrics. We don't need a committee of morons. Well, Madcraft, why are they morons? They're morons because they don't put your team in the 12-team playoff. See, there we go. Now we've cracked the code. People think the committee are morons when it doesn't fit their own personal selfish agenda.
Well,
I want my team.
I'll stand up for Mad.
I want my team in the playoff, and you're a moron because you didn't put my team in the playoff. No.
I'll stand up for Mad here. My team didn't get left out, and I still think they're morons. I would bet more people think they're morons than we think. I just don't know. Again, I want consistency. That's all I want. I just want whatever happens this year to be the blueprint next year. And again, we're told that expanding it's going to create less Florida State. No, it's just going to create more. Hey, it's not going away.
Led Zeppelin didn't write songs that everybody liked. They left that up to the Bee Gees, okay? You write songs that are a little bit controversial. You make decisions that a lot of people don't agree with, and it's entertaining as hell. And it's probably a better product than what would come out if the BCS rankings.
And they're making more money. I mean, that's all that matters. They're making more money now. College football is, the conferences, everybody.
You're also operating under the assumption that just because the data says here's 1 through 12, the 12 best teams, this is who should be in, that it's automatically going to breed better football games on the field, right? So the computer spitting out the numbers eliminates our conversation, but it doesn't necessarily lend to better football games on the field. This is something I bring up all the time. 4-team playoff was meant to be a better system where you get the 4 best teams in, and then you see blowouts all the time. On paper, these teams are supposed to be evenly matched. Well, how come Alabama's blowing Notre Dame out by 40 points? And how come LSU's blowing Clemson out? How come all these blowouts happen? Because it's not played on paper. These are not computer simulations.
I'm not asking for better play on field. I'm asking for the 12 best teams to get in. If the 12 teams that are the best 12 teams get in, at the end of the day, that's what I want. And what happens on the field happens on the field.
I think metrics should be more involved. I think cloud-based analytics should be more involved. I mean, look, this thing is worth millions upon millions of dollars. Yeah. You can have sophisticated computer models try to spit out the 12 best teams if you want to. I do appreciate something Smitty said, where he said, let it play out for a year or 2.
Yeah, I agree with that.
3
I'm with you.
Before you start going and making wholesale changes, because we don't know what's going to happen once these teams actually lace it up and get out there.
And real quick, if Rick from Greer by chance is listening, Rick, I tried to get in touch with you earlier. I was able to get in touch with Tom, just so you know. But Rick, if you are out there listening, please call in during the break. I need one thing from you. I tried to get in touch with you. May have been the wrong number. May have been spam. I might have called somebody on Mars. But Rick from Greer, if you're listening, if we want to be able to execute what we tried to execute, we need you to call in during the break.
When we come back, our Daily Wires.
It's probably dead, my luck.
I'm tuning in Zero with your sports update on the Fan Upstate. College basketball, Furman hosting Princeton on Saturday, sitting at 8-1 after winning on the road Wednesday against Florida Gulf Coast. Radford, they're on the road Saturday to take on Elon. Terriers beat Gardner-Webb Wednesday night to improve to 4-5. They'll play their next 3 games on the road. Clemson facing the Minor Hurricanes on Saturday in Coral Gables. Tigers have won 5 straight after their upset win against number 4.
A lot happening out there in the sports world. Let's take a look at all of it right now in our whip around coverage. These are your daily wires. The buzz happening in the sports world. Clemson wide receiver Troy Stellato has announced that he will be entering the transfer portal. Dabo Swinney addressed this at his most recent press conference, saying he was just looking for a bigger role. Has nothing to do with anything else. He just wanted to be more involved.
Yeah, he wasn't involved at all. He only had 25 receptions, 264 yards, and 1 touchdown on the season. So not really a loss, maybe some depth, but
yeah. Junior running back and likely Heisman finalist Ashton Genty confirmed that he will leave Boise State at the end of this season. He has 2,288 yards and on 312 carries, 28 touchdowns, and an average of 7.3 yards a carry.
Where's he going?
NFL.
I know.
NFL.
I know.
Bronco Mendenhall has been hired as the new head coach at Utah State. Congratulations to Bronco for taking a new job. I talked about this earlier. Cole Bevo will not be allowed to attend the SEC championship game. A spokesperson for the SEC said the narrow sidelines presented an unsafe situation for Bevo, for players, and game day crew. There's not enough room for a 1,000-pound bull to be on our sidelines, they said.
But they let any – never mind. Not going there. Keep going. For once –
you were going to make a fat girl joke, weren't you?
For once, I used a filter.
Wow.
For once, I used a filter.
Done.
Yeah, you continue.
Last night, Cole, the Lions improved to 12-1 after a walk-off field goal versus the Green Bay Packers. The game winner was set up by a 4th and inches pickup of 7 yards by running back David Montgomery.
God, it was a good game.
Victory clinches a playoff spot for the Lions for the second straight year, which hasn't happened for them since 1994-95.
That was a fantastic game, number one. Number two, the Lions just look like world beaters, not only in the NFC but the NFL. I mean, just go ahead and give them the Lombardi. I think they're that good.
Last night, the number 3 South Carolina women's Gamecocks team held off number 8 Duke for an 81-70 victory. That marks their 62nd straight home win. You know, there's only a couple things, Cole, that are definite in this world. You can't slow down time, the tides, taxes, and South Carolina winning at home. They don't lose at home.
And I always love, teams do this all the time, but I love that they did the teddy bear toss last night at halftime. This time of year,
Great.
Donating so cool to see.
Yeah, they had built up a 25-point second half lead, but Duke charged back to make it an 8-point game with 6 minutes and 10 seconds left.
How far would you have to come down in order to get the teddy bear on the court? You think you could
on the court?
On the court. So at halftime, you throw them all on the court.
Yeah.
Anywhere lower?
Depends on the arena. Anywhere lower? I don't know.
And the weight of the teddy bear.
That matters too. It needs to be actually a heavier teddy bear than because a lightweight teddy bear is not going to fly very far.
About 2 pounds.
Because if it's a light one, you can almost kind of whip it like a Frisbee. I'd say if I'm trying to get it close to center court, which is the goal there, I got to be in, I think the farthest up I could be is probably like row 30.
Oh, God, I was thinking 15.
25?
I was thinking 15 for me.
20? Okay. I think we should test this.
Well, let's do it.
Hey,
Furman.
They keep you know what? That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
I'm full of them.
They're working on
they're
working on the renovation to Furman's basketball stadium. Why don't we have a teddy bear toss for a charity at Furman's new stadium? That's a fantastic. Look at that. Look at you coming up with great ideas. The Athletics cleared the last major hurdle in the process of building their $1.75 billion Las Vegas stadium. The Las Vegas Stadium Authority approved the lease, non-relocation, and development documents on Thursday. Those documents will keep the A's in Las Vegas for at least 30 years. Ooh. Groundbreaking is expected to begin in the spring.
30 years?
To allow a scheduled opening for the 2028 season.
How old will you be in 30 years from now?
70.
God!
70. I can't even fathom
I'll be
that.
58.
I'll only be 30 years. Stop. God, what is this, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah.
I'll only be 82.
It's a great movie.
It is a great movie. Boy. Cole, a bettor in Kentucky is backing the Philadelphia Eagles to beat the Carolina Panthers on Sunday with a $3.1 million wager. It's one of the largest bets ever reported on an NFL regular season game. Circa Sports took the wager on the Eagles' money line Thursday afternoon at minus 700 odds which would net the gambler approximately $443,000.
Wow, how about that?
You're willing to lose $3 million to maybe make $400K?
You gotta have it.
Ludicrous.
First, you gotta have it.
Ludicrous.
All right, when we come back,
it's Drake. Sorry.
Oh, Drake. It's not you.
No, it's not
Okay.
Ludicrous.
I thought it was you. I thought it was you for a minute. I thought you were the one making that kind of wager. We'll get back into the upset picks. We may have a surprise on the other side. We'll see. Depends on if Rick's listening or not. Rick, if you are, call in real quick. We may have a surprise, but we'll get into the upset picks. Haven't even done that today. Also, get back into South Carolina Clemson as well on the other side. This is the Fan Upstate.
On your shirt and cheese dust on your fingers and say, I can do that. You're listening to The Right Show.
You're going wire to wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
Life is short, and if we spend our time suffering with pain and it takes away our joy, that's not a very good way to live.
He's right. It's hard to be happy when you're in constant pain. QC Kinetics patient Chad admits the chronic pain in his knee really robbed his quality of life.
When I was going to the traditional doctor and getting the pain pills,
First one I called was Tom. I got lucky. I couldn't get lucky with Rick. Tom's ready. He's calling in regardless, he said, and he's so he thought it out. He asked me to pull up a song for his segment. I said, oh, God, or a theme music. I said, dear God. Never know what's going to turn into.
This either is hilarious or a total shit show.
Maybe both. 71307. That's the text line for you to get your upset pick in. Start your text with the word fan. Again, if you are brand new to the show and have no idea what we're talking about, number one, you're late. Number two, welcome. Number three, the upset picks challenge is going on. And boy, what do they say, Diesel? Supplies, you better get them while they last, because this thing is rearing its ugly head, and we're seeing its buttocks as the end is near. And
yeah, we only have 3 more weeks, including this week right now.
Tell me that.
3 more weeks of the upset picks challenge.
That's not good.
Running low, my friend.
Not good at all. I've loved it. It's been entertaining. My first year.
Have you loved it, though?
Shut up. Shut up. Yeah, I loved it. You can tell I've loved it. I've loved watching y'all succeed, but but you know what? This is my first year. I am taking the mantra that Brent Venables and Oklahoma took this year. First year in the SEC, got to get your feet wet, got to learn the ropes, ins and outs. That's my excuse right now for the upset picks challenge as well, because in year one, I have not done well. So continue to get that in. 71307. You are looking for an underdog this weekend to outright win the game. So, for example, this weekend there are, did you say 9?
9 games to choose from.
9 games to choose from. The very first one starts, Diesel, not 1, but 2 hours from right now. Western Kentucky, Jacksonville State. If you want to enter the challenge brought to you by Ingles Markets, for example, you would take Western Kentucky. If you like them over Jacksonville State, you'd say Western Kentucky, Jacksonville State, and the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Is that right?
Hilltoppers.
+4. You don't have to say the mascot, but you put the team that you like to win and the amount of points. So we need your name, the game, and the spread. The spreads were locked in on Wednesday at 3. And Diesel, you said there are 3 more weeks left this week.
Correct.
Bowl games, and for those that
first
maybe
half
have
of bowl
not
games,
heard how that works.
Yeah, so this week we'll have our first half of bowl games, this week we got championship games. Next week we will be playing our first half of bowl games. First half of bowl games, assuming there are spreads. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you'll be picking all the bowl games before Christmas, and then on the 18th through the 20th, you'll be picking all bowl games after Christmas. Now, the pre-Christmas bowl games will include the games that are be playing the college football playoff games, on campus round, the quarterfinals, if you want to call that, or the whatever on campus round.
Sure,
those will be lumped in because those games are being played before Christmas.
Yep.
And then after that, assuming we have spreads for all these games at the time, we'll be picking all the bowl games after Christmas and the quarterfinals of the college football playoff. That would be the round of 8 teams when there's 8 teams still in there. So next week, pre-Christmas, the week after that, the 18th, 19th, and 20th, post-Christmas bowls.
I like it a lot. Want to remind you one more time, get your upset picks in. And Diesel, while we continue to get to the upset picks, we'll have standings of those and what the lead looks like right now. I know there's not a ton of point spreads this week that are very large. So your opportunity to make some hay?
Yeah, your hope is, I guess, probably to pick a game that a lot of people haven't picked.
Sure.
And hope that everyone else gets theirs wrong.
And the biggest spread this week's like 4.5 points.
Yeah,
so not a lot of points. So
as of right now, you got UNLV +4.5. You've got Tulane Army +5, or Tulane +5 against. No, excuse me. Tulane at Army +5. You'll have, I think the biggest game on Saturday, tomorrow's games, will be Marshall +6 at Louisiana. Now, I saw a post last night, Cole.
Yep.
From I don't know if I follow this account or if it just got suggested to me, that there were still a tremendous number of unsold tickets to this Louisiana Marshall game.
Oh,
so it's possible that this ends up being a very poorly attended game, which
like
I think
bowl game.
which I think kind of helps Marshall, right? Like you take away the home field advantage. Sure. Things could have changed. Thousands of tickets could have been sold today. I don't know, but they're going to be playing in a potentially half-empty stadium down there in Louisiana. And God, that sucks for them too, because they are going to open up the other half of their stadium next year. They're renovating half, and that doesn't bode well for renovating and expanding your stadium if you can't sell tickets for a conference championship game.
Sherb wants Georgia plus 2.5 over Texas. I want to get into this audio. I believe it was Smitty that mentioned it. It might have been you, Diesel, that mentioned this earlier in the show, but an audio clip that I find very fascinating from a high school recruit when it comes to Clemson. Also, Tom has told me that he is up for the Tolo versus Tolo today if Rick is. But Rick has to be up for it.
Rick, where you at?
Yeah, so if Rick and Greer, if you're listening, give us a shout, because Tom said he's all in. And he talked to him earlier. I was able to get a hold of him. He said he's all in, but he said Rick's going to be scared. He said Rick probably is going to run and doesn't want to do the Tolo versus. That's what Tom said.
I think Rick is on the golf course right now practicing so that he doesn't get beat by a 70-year-old woman.
So we'll see if that happens. It may not. But Diesel, I want to get into this audio in the meantime. Jordan Young breaks down his flip from Clemson to Michigan. Here is what Jordan had to say while wearing a Michigan hat.
The recruiting class wasn't that good at Clemson. I was the only DB at the time, so didn't really see a bright future with that. Michigan was heating up in the recruiting class, getting many guys that I would see that could help me and I could help them as well. And I see Coach Morgan; he's a great developer, and we got a great relationship there. So I feel like Michigan was that missing piece, so I just put it all together.
Sorry for the bad music in the background, but Jordan Young says again about Clemson one more time.
At the time, so didn't really see a bright future with that.
Didn't really see a bright future with that. And I think it was Smitty who mentioned it earlier. I don't know, Diesel, when you talk about not seeing a bright future, what does he mean? We'll probably never know. It could have something to do with bright future in terms of finances. It could have something to do with bright future in terms of the culture or what he experienced and saw when he was there. But here we are on December the 6th, 2024, having the conversation of recruits not wanting to go to Clemson. And you and Smitty talked about the drop-off in recruiting. This is not a good day, not a good time for Clemson when it comes to recruiting.
No, it's not good. And look, he said, we'll never know the truth. What he actually means by that. He said, the guys around me, I was the only DB, and I didn't see guys around me that could help me. So I didn't see a bright future there.
Yeah.
Granted, I don't know what it's like to be an 18-year-old kid deciding where I'm going to go to school for the next couple of years and play. I don't really know, Cole, how many elite level defensive backs say, you know what, I want to be a part of a class of 3 or 4 elite level defensive backs.
Sure.
Is that something that is a concern for DBs? You know, it's the opposite of that when you're talking about quarterbacks, right? Because quarterbacks say, I don't want to be in a class with 2 or 3 other potentially equally talented quarterbacks that I'm going to have to compete against. They look and say, all right, well, who did they take last year? Is there a good chance that player is going to start and that I'm not going to get to start? And he may be here for 3 or 4 years and I may never get to play but my senior year. I genuinely don't know. So if I'm a Clemson fan, I'm maybe not too torn up about those words. I think ultimately a lot of it comes down to NIL and what kind of money Michigan was willing to throw his way. That's certainly a big part of it. But we won't know what his valuation is and what kind of deals he may have been offered.
Tyler from Easley wants to get in on the conversation. 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. That is the way you can get in touch with us. And we have texts that come in during the entirety of the show. But look, we give priority to those who call. Let's go to Tyler in Easley. What's on your mind, Tyler?
Hey, I just wanted to jump in on this recruiting conversation. I called in this morning, and Rob Brown brought up some good points as far as the blue chip ratings and those kind of having a direct implication of what a program will look like the next 2 to 3 years. But my argument is every university has AD scholarships, right? And a lot of these ESPN and On3 and Rivals rankings are based on sometimes quantity over quality, right? So we might be ranked lower because I think we had 14 recruits yesterday, but Clemson historically has had far less turnover than other schools. So we retain players, and I'm chasing the good here. We retain players, develop them in the system, which helps. And I want to read you a couple names here. So this is between 2016 to 2018. So J.C. Chalk, Chandler Reeves, Isaiah Simmons, Kayvon Wallace, bear with me, Travis Etienne, Logan Rudolph, Blake Vincent. There's 5 first-rounders in there. You know how many stars they were in their recruiting classes? They were all 3 stars.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I agree with the argument that Clemson has been dipping in the 4 and 5-star recruits, but that doesn't mean there's potential to get some dogs out of this class. So just kind of want to get your thoughts on that, and I'll hang up and listen.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the call.
Tyler, you're not wrong there. Look, I mean, some programs find a niche at finding the 3-star guy and turning them into players who play like 4 and 5-star guys. That is true. But also, you're banking on the ability of coaching staffs to pull something out of players that nobody saw in high school versus finding a guy who is already extremely talented and developing that guy further. So, I mean, how much can you really polish a nickel, to turn it into a diamond?
So it's very similar in my mind to the 3rd round of the draft versus the 1st round guy, right? Because there is a little bit more risk involved. And by the way, Tyler from Easley, that's a call right there. You come in, not just an opinion like some people do, not some Tolos. You have some numbers, some facts to back it up. Pulled out his legal pad, read some names off,
ready to
giving us some stats. That's a good call. Yeah. Good call, Tyler. Need more Tolos like that, not just spouting crazy things off. But, no, you're right. You do hit on 3 stars, but there's more risk involved. That's the way I look at it. You just don't want to always take that risk.
You're more likely going to find success at an elite level player when you're starting with a 4 and 5-star guy versus starting with a 3-star guy. That's not to take anything away from the players who develop into great players. That's awesome. And some guys don't hit their athletic peak until they're freshman, sophomore in college. They weren't this like freak of nature as a junior and senior in high school. They peaked once they got to college. That is absolutely true.
And I guess that's the question, Diesel, I want to ask the Clemson fans during this segment is where you are right now. Are you concerned? And I know Tyler kind of joked about it right there. It was Tyler, right?
Yes.
Tyler from Easley. Thank you. I know he joked about it like he's looking for things. I get that. But are Clemson fans, if for those out there listening, are you concerned not with on the field? Let's completely compartmentalize what we're looking at here. Just recruiting. 7 Diesel 2025 recruits out the door, decommitted. I just want to know from Clemson fans if you feel a sense of worry about the direction of the program solely based on just recruiting. 71307.
Yeah.
Start your text with the word fan.
And, I've seen people try to qualify that on social media by saying, well, they're not really Clemson guys anyway. If they would leave to chase an extra $100,000, which I believe was the difference between the player that Clemson lost to Georgia Tech, between what Clemson was offering him versus what Georgia Tech was offering him. Look, you thought that guy was good enough that he could help you.
Yeah.
You offered him money because you thought he could help you. And the question is, was he just not worth it anymore at that higher price point? Did he get the higher price point and say, you know what, Clemson, I don't even want to hear another offer from you. You were going to throw me $250K, and I'm just making these numbers up, right? You're going to throw me $250. They're going to throw me $350. I'm happy with that. I'm just going to take the money and run. I want this process to be over. That may be the case. But you thought this guy was going to be good enough to help you. And then all of a sudden, he's not good enough to throw an extra $100,000 at. If that's just a fact, right? And look, we all know that these recruiting ranking systems are flawed, right? They all have teams plus or minus 3, 4, 5 positions from each other because they base them on different metrics. You can look at, I like to look at 24/7 because I think they do a good job of having a composite rating system. Some people don't like it. That's fine. You take it all with a grain of salt, but you're still slipping from where you were last year and the year before and the year before.
Yeah.
And that can't be denied based on 2 or 3 spots in the rankings.
Couple of texts. Fat Page says, yeah, you hear that, Tom? Spouting nonsense. Texter says Ohio State needs to remove themselves from the postseason play due to the fight. Carolina and Clemson had to do it when they had the big fight. Texter says one of the issues with the star rating system is that it's rated heavily on what college pursue players. I have seen players jump a star just because Notre Dame, Ohio State, or Georgia goes after them. Alex says short term, maybe a little worried, but with a new payment structure coming next year, I'm not worried long term. Alex.
And somebody else says,
what's your name?
If we use the transfer portal like I think we will now, but no, not concerned because these recruits are going to be at a different school every year anyway. Well, not if you are Clemson and you build your reputation and your culture on keeping a guy around for 3 or 4 years.
No, I'm with you. But again, what's your main goal, right? Do you want him to be a Clemson guy, or do you want to win football games? That's all I say.
Well, I mean, Michigan, when they were searching for their head coach, when they ultimately hired Jim Harbaugh, they were looking for a Michigan man.
They were. That's true.
Would it have mattered if somebody came in and one who wasn't a Michigan man?
No,
it wouldn't have mattered.
I don't think so. 844 fan.
Would they have kept a Michigan man around longer if he lost more games just because he's a Michigan man? No.
You're there to win.
Exactly.
844 fan phone, 844-326-3663. Earlier, a couple of weeks ago, Tom in Somerville challenged Rick and Greer to a Tolo versus Tolo. We have not heard from Rick today. Tom said he is up for the challenge, but I believe Tom also said that Rick was timid and did not want to face the music. However, one half of the Tolo versus Tolo competition, if you want to put it that way, is on the line. Tom in Somerville. I did speak with Tom earlier. He said, I'm all in if Rick is, but Tom, I guess Rick's a little scared, huh?
Well, yeah, it's okay. We'll get it set up here soon, but last night Rick called in, after I did, and sounded like Rick's been having a rough couple days, and I hated hearing that. So I told my wife when we were eating dinner that I was going to call in today and say a little prayer for Rick, if that's okay.
By all means.
And Tom told me, by the way, Tom said, please, when I talked to Tom earlier, he's told me what he was going to do, and he said, can you please pull this music? So because Tom is great, I did. All right, Tom, the floor is yours.
Okay, so dear Heavenly Father, just wanted to say a prayer for our brother Rick. He's been going through a few things the last few weeks, whether it was on the football field or the golf course. He's had a rough few days, and so as brothers in Christ, we just want to lift him up right now. Know that we've got his back, and if he ever needs anything, Tom from Somerville will be here to support him. We love Rick. He's a great Tolo, but with his Tigers losing and him losing $80 to an 80-year-old on the golf course, I just thought he might need a prayer. So right now we just lift Rick up, and hopefully his Tigers don't get beat too bad in the ACC championship.
I don't know if I've ever had my face as red as it is right now. Oh, I think I'm crying.
Oh my God.
Tom, I don't even know what to say. Let me pull the music down. I'll give you this, Tom.
Congratulations. That might be the best call we've ever had.
Tom, that was great. And always appreciate you. But Tom, hey, you're right. Maybe he'll call in. We'll have to set it up. I guess Rick, at the end of the day, he's just too timid, right?
He's just right now. He probably just needs a little bit of personal time to get back on his feet, and that's okay. That's okay. Rick, I appreciate the call back on Tuesday when you called into the show. You're a man of your word, and like I said, we got your back, brother. Hang in there.
Hey, Tom, is there an exit number somewhere around I-26 where we can get you two together for a hug?
Hey, so maybe soon. Right now, I'm going to pick up a rental car because me and my wife have to drive overnight to New Mexico. So I'm going to be on the road for the next 24 hours, going the opposite direction of 26. But maybe soon.
Somerville to New Mexico. Is that right?
Yep, that is correct.
Wow. Those two I don't think are near each other, Tom.
No, it's a 24-hour.
He's not wrong.
Drive.
He's not lying. I looked it up. It is 23 hours and 16 minutes from Columbia to Albuquerque.
Oh my.
That's where we're going, Diesel. And
Wow.
I'm going to say this. I don't know why we're not going in an airplane, but wife said we're driving, and I lost that battle. So,
Tom, what are you going to New Mexico for? Can we ask?
My wife, her family, she's got family there. Family's not doing well, so we're just going to go see them for a little bit. So, Rick may need to say a prayer for me for sitting in the car with my wife for 24 straight hours. But yeah, they were going there, and it's going to be a long night on the road.
Oh, man. Is the plan to just drive nonstop, no stopping for anything but like gas in the bathroom?
Correct.
Oh,
and we have 3 dogs in the car.
Oh, my God. You're kidding me.
I hope you're renting a school bus, not a car.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. It's going to be and of course, it's during conference championship Saturday. We're going to be driving.
Hey, will you do us a favor?
That's
because
grounds for divorce almost.
It is. And you told us yesterday, Tom, that you told us your Twitter handle. I'll let you say that. But will you document this for us in the Tolos on Twitter?
Yes, I will. When I can, I will be sending Twitter updates. Yes, on Cockball 803. My name's in the top. It says Tom, and it's a picture of the Gamecock logo.
Oh, of course it is.
And my nephew, thank goodness, my nephew knows these things. He made a Steve Taneyhill background picture, and I got Steve Taneyhill on there too.
Tom, you just Cockball 803 just got a follow from me, buddy. I can't wait to follow along with your journey.
Oh, yeah. I got Diesel following me now. We're going famous.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my gosh.
I think we need a breather after that. About a 45-minute breather.
That's fair.
How did Tom in Somerville, with this personality, find wire to wire is what I want to know. I mean, what are the odds?
Yeah.
What are the freaking odds? That just doesn't – I mean, you can't make that up. Okay.
I don't even know how to follow that,
I was going to say,
man.
Hear me play some music?
Yeah, I don't know how to follow. When we come back, Cole, the Carolina Panthers, they got a little extra pressure on them now because they got $3.1 million bet against them. They're playing the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday. Do they stand a chance against this very, very, very good Eagles defense? We'll talk about that next. We spent the whole commercial break laughing at these text messages that are coming in. Got some texters have some advice for Tom, who's just told us that he is driving from Somerville, which is just south of Columbia, all the way to Albuquerque nonstop, just long enough to get gas and food. I mean, they're going to be driving
with
nonstop
dogs.
straight with 3
They
dogs.
stop.
Oh my, that sounds
bad.
awful. Texter says, I'm praying for Tom's wife. Another texter says, at least Tom, Tom speaks loudly enough. It seems like he's the kind of guy that drives with his windows down, and he's gone a little bit deaf from it. Like, have you ever known a trucker who's a little bit deaf in their left ear but not in their right?
Huh?
Because the left door's always open.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Texter says, at least Tom doesn't have to worry about missing the Gamecocks in the conference championship game tomorrow. In all seriousness, safe travels. Let's see. Another texter here, Rob Jones from 98.9 WORD says, I've done Seneca to Albuquerque in the car before. It's a beast of a trip. Advice for Tom: when you get to the ABQ, keep the doors locked and take your gun. There's a reason why they say in the ABQ, come on vacation, leave on probation.
Rob, that's terrible, but good. Keep your doors locked, Tom. At least he has 3 dogs. Hopefully they're big dogs.
My in-laws live in Los Alamos, New Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
And they fly most of the time, but they did drive it one time. They drove here, and I think they drove back, and they said never again. Never, ever. I mean, they like road trips.
Just
they
too
like
far,
being in the car. No, man, like a road trip to me, like for you, what's that limit where you say, all right, I'm just going to fly?
Well, if I have to answer honestly, it's 15 hours.
15?
Yeah, I used to drive back and forth.
Shorter.
I used to drive back and forth from Dallas all the time.
Oh, man.
In one night.
No.
Yeah. Oh,
no,
yeah.
for me, it's like 6. Anything longer than 6
I know, but
hours,
I like
flying.
to drive. I do like to drive. I just it's not fun if you're. It depends. I'll tell you what it all comes down
Depends
to.
on what kind of car you got.
That's right. I drove a U-Haul.
Oh no!
From here to Dallas.
Oh, what'd you
hours.
get? Like 3 miles to the gallon?
Oh my god! Don't even ask. Don't even.
The longest road trip I've done recently in a car was like Raleigh and back in a day,
and that's a good little.
And that sucked.
Yeah.
That sucks. I don't ever want to do a Raleigh and back road trip again in a day. Texter says, I feel for Tom. We drove from New Jersey back home here with a stop at Carowinds.
Oh my god!
All in one day. That comes from Corn Chip.
How do you do that? And Carowinds?
New Jersey back to South Carolina with a stop at Carowinds.
No.
How fast were you going, Corn Chip? Because that's a
long
haul.
way.
My in-laws, my sister's husband, they live in Massachusetts, and they've driven the Massachusetts route a couple times, and that sounds brutal. I don't want to do that. I don't want to spend my time in a car, in a stinky fart smelling car. I'd rather just get on a stinky fart smelling plane and be there in like an hour and a half.
True.
Texter says 8 hours is basically the drive fly decider for him.
You don't like Spirit? You throwing Spirit under the bus?
Me?
Yeah. You said it. Fart stinking plane. I just
Well, they all
figured you
smell
would.
like it.
No, Spirit does.
No.
Spirit does.
Hey, there are people with leaky butts on American Airlines flights also. That's not exclusive to Spirit, though. It's probably more of it on Spirit. It's probably more vomit on Spirit and other bodily fluids.
True.
Texter says, I took the family last summer out to Colorado, then Texas, then back here. Almost went insane, but I did it. Notre Dame. Now, I thought you were going to say, but I did it for Notre Dame. I was about to say that was
Notre Dame Nate.
That was Notre Dame Nate.
Yep.
Notre Dame Nate.
God, that's
okay.
great.
So the Carolina Panthers Cole
back to sports.
Yeah. Carolina Panthers facing the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday, and my friend, they've got themselves one hell of a tall task.
Yeah, they do.
The Eagles are pretty good.
They hadn't met since 2021. It's been a while since these two teams have played. However, do you
get
like
batteries thrown at your head when you're in Philadelphia?
It's a tough. No,
they punch Santa.
Aside, it's a tough environment.
Yeah.
That place is. However, the Carolina Panthers are playing their best football of the year right now.
Yeah, but here's the problem, Cole, and I get that. I get that they had like 8 games before this little mini run that they've gone on. Two wins and then 2 really, really close losses to good football teams, the Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back-to-back, Cole. So the numbers are a little skewed. But here's the problem. The Carolina Panthers season average offensively is exactly what the Philadelphia Eagles hold opponents to.
Yeah.
So
it's not good.
Yeah, that's not good. The Carolina Panthers average 18 points a game. Guess what? The Eagles have the fourth best scoring defense in the league, giving up 18.2 points per game.
And that's 30th in the league, by the way. The Panthers.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, it's not good. Not their offense, by the way.
The Panthers are averaging 105 rushing yards a game. The Eagles have the 7th best rush defense in the league at 105 rush yards per game allowed. The Carolina Panthers average 187 yards through the air. Guess what? The Eagles have the 3rd best pass defense, giving up 178 yards per game. And the Carolina Panthers have a total of 292 yards a game on offense, which is not good when you rank it with the rest of the NFL. Well, the Philadelphia Eagles hold their opponents to roughly exactly that margin. So they're going to have themselves a tall task. And this, honestly, Cole, you could look at this and say, all right, this is a litmus test for where this team is. You're not expected to win this game, but if you can outpace your season average against a team like this, that tells me you're making strides in the way you do things. And I was really impressed 2 weeks ago against the Chiefs, and last week the game that I was there against the Buccaneers. Bryce Young is finally playing loose. He's finally playing like Alabama Bryce Young again.
He's playing loose. Looks like he's just having a lot more fun as he is playing. You know, it's a 13 and a half point spread in a lot of places. I don't think the Carolina Panthers win this game. No. However, I will tell you this. What's been the difference for Philadelphia this year has been Saquon Barkley. That pickup for them has been what's put them over the edge. And the Panthers have been able to run the ball and move the chains a little bit as of late, too, with Chuba Hubbard. So I don't think the Panthers win, but if you gave me 13 points, I might would take them. Carolina's covered the spread 5 times in their last 10 games, so about 50%. They don't have a win against the spread as a 12.5-point underdog or more this year, which is not good. They've only been that twice, though. This game, it's interesting. Philadelphia is really good against the spread, 8-4 on the season. Philadelphia games have Philadelphia games with a set total have hit the over 5 times this season. So that's 50% of the time. So they're able to score. They're able to put up a lot of numbers. They're also able to play ball control with a running back who's probably the best running back in the NFL right now, up for MVP discussion. That's going to limit a lot of the Panthers' possessions on Sunday. Bryce and those guys will not have a lot of time on the field, which is why I do like the Eagles. And if you're limiting the possessions, not giving Bryce Young time, the Eagles can get up on you quick. I don't think this thing becomes a blowout, but if you're not careful, if you're Carolina and you have a couple 3-and-outs early, this thing could very well be over at the half.
Well, it could get interesting, and the Panthers could make some hay defensively if they're able to get to Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts is really good at getting out of the pocket and creating. But what he's not good at, Cole, is throwing with pressure in his face. So if the Carolina Panthers can really, throw LeBron Day at him as much as they possibly can, get some blitzes with DJ Wanham, with Trayvon Wallace, with Josie Jewell, I think, and Jadeveon Clowney, I think there's an opportunity, Cole, to make him uncomfortable in the pocket. And the problem is when you again push him out of that comfort zone, you actually put him into a place where he is comfortable, and that's what makes Jalen Hurts so dang good. His probably biggest strength is his creativity when the pocket breaks down. So oddly enough, a weakness leads directly into one of his strengths.
Well, the problem is, even if you get to Hurts this season, he can do that. If you're watching on the stream, he can dump it off real quick. If you're not, and he can get it to Saquon Barkley. And that's happened a lot this year. It looks like
when they drug tested Saquon after he
hurdled the guy backwards.
Reverse.
Yeah. God. It should, listen, it should be a good game for a little while. I do think the Panthers will keep it somewhat close. Covering the 13.5, though, I don't know if they do. I do like where they are. They're playing really good football, but I think at the end of the day, the Eagles get the win on Sunday.
A win for the Panthers here is play them within 10 points.
Yeah.
Keep it close. It's score 2 offensive touchdowns on them.
Yeah.
If you can score 14 or 17 points on them, I think you've had a pretty good day against this good defense. I mean, even though things have looked better for the Carolina Panthers, they haven't been necessarily playing tremendously great football. It's just better than it had been. So this is going to be interesting. And Bryce Young, we know, is seemingly finding some comfort out there on the field now. He's getting a little more time to throw. He's recognizing when it's time to scramble. So let's just see. Let's see what happens with this team. Can the Carolina Panthers outpace our expectations? Just go beat our expectations. Don't try to beat the Eagles.
Ryan Godfrey on the Facebook stream says, headed to District 3, go Indians, District 3 Stadium in Rock Hill. Ryan, be safe. Keep us updated with scores tonight. Should be a really good game tonight. Northwestern hosting Gaffney for the right to go to the state championship up in District 3 Stadium. Just wish it was a little closer to home for those here in the upstate, because it should be a good game. I'm going to be at BHP MVP, Belton Honea and Mountain View Prep, for the upper state title. But in the very next segment, we will get into what Dabo Sweeney said about SMU, what he thinks of the Ponies and their chances on Saturday. That's next. What did Dabo Sweeney have to say about the matchup with SMU on Saturday? You could probably do your best Dabo impersonation and tell yourself rather what he said, because sometimes he does tend to say the same thing. However, we're going to let him speak for himself, Diesel. Let Dabo speak here, and let's see what he had to say about SMU and Clemson playing in the ACC championship. We'll stop as needed.
All right, good morning, everybody. Always great to see y'all, but especially on this Tuesday. Because if I'm seeing y'all on this Tuesday, that means we're in the championship game. So not sure how many of y'all had this on your calendar for today. Y'all might have had vacation plans. Maybe you were going golfing today or whatever you're going to do, but I'm glad y'all are here. Excited, man. Excited to be in the ACC championship game again. And it's a great venue. I'm excited for our players, and I'm proud of our team. You know, we did not accomplish all of our regular season goals, but we did enough to be one of 2 teams out of 17.
That's right. Pause it. You did enough. You did enough to what? Be lucky enough to have Miami lose and backdoor your way in. That's what he's saying. We did enough to be in the position to where if chaos happened, we were there. And for the 22 comments on Facebook who are calling me an idiot and disagreeing and said this is your worst take you've ever had, your dumbest take, I'm sorry. Dabo just said we did enough, and let's call it like it is here. They were on the bubble and needed chaos, and Diesel, they got it.
You should go back in there and comment, Cole. If you think this is the worst take I've ever had, then listen on Monday.
That's exactly right, because I have a worse one. All right, Dabo, continue.
To earn the opportunity and to qualify for our championship. So really proud of that. SMU's 8-0, and we're 7-1. And so top 2 teams. And I'm also proud of our consistency, uncommon consistency. This is our 10th time in this game in 16 years. I know we're supposedly a bad program now, and we're doom and gloom, David. It's all downhill. Everything's terrible. But I think we've been in this game 2 out of the last 3 years. This is our 8th time in 10 years. And I don't think we've gone back-to-back years not being in this game since 13 and 14. So, and I know for all the things that have to change and how we're supposed to be like everybody else, I'd say that's pretty good. 8 times in 10 years. And so really proud of that consistency. And we got 2 goals left, and that's to win the ACC and to win the closer. And if we hit them 2 goals, hey, we'll be national champs.
Oh, boy.
And that's a fact. So these kids have worked their butt off. The staff has worked their tails off. Again, certainly didn't accomplish all of our regular season goals, but it's all about the postseason. That's what it's about, and that's what college football is about and is going to become about as we move forward. So really happy to have the opportunity to go compete. And, congratulations to Rhett and SMU. We actually both have the same agent. So I know him a little bit and certainly have competed against him a couple of times and have followed him for a long time since he was down there at Auburn as well. It's probably the first time really got to know him a little bit, but both teams have earned this opportunity to compete for the ACC title. And so it's a blessing to be in it. And honestly, it's a blessing to be able to be a part of something that very few coaches, very few players get to experience. And that is a championship game. Very few people get a chance to experience that. So it's there's 8 Power 4 teams that are playing this weekend. And it's exciting. It's what you work all year for, is to try to be in your championship. And again, you're talking, these aren't 7 and 8 team leagues anymore. I mean, it's a 17 team league. So I'm really proud of our guys for putting themselves in this position. And again, a blessing to be a part of it as we get going. And then, SMU, I mean, they are what you perceive, when you just track them from afar. I've had some crossover opportunity throughout the year to study them a little bit. But man, offensively, they are, 5th in the nation in scoring. They are explosive. They are fast. They play with a lot of precision. You know, this is an old football team. If you look at their team, they're all graduates and seniors. Very, very old team that's played a lot of football. Outside of the quarterback, he's a
all right. That's enough of Dabo for today.
If only Miami had SMU's defense, they'd be in the top 5 in the country right now.
Yeah, you do. It does help to have defense. That's what they say.
SMU gave up a lot of points to TCU back in week number 4 of the season. But outside of that, Cole, they haven't given up more than 4 touchdowns in a game since, and they're outscoring everybody.
And he's the 5th in the nation in scoring.
Yeah,
so.
you can give up 28 points a game if you're out there scoring 48 points a game. The problem is Miami was scoring 48 points a game and giving up 46 a game.
Yeah,
that's why Miami isn't in the field.
That's
why Alabama jumped them.
Only if we had a segment to predict what was actually going to happen. Diesel,
you think so? I think so. I think we should do that. Let's predict our conference championship winners next. Well, we finally have come to it, Cole. One of our last opportunities, the last hour before conference championship games begin. So why not? Why not make our picks? We've bloviated. We've said everything there is to say about 10 different ways. Now we got to put our money where our mouth is. We got to make our picks. So who's it going to be, Cole, in each of these conference championship games? It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Tolos, you can play along as well. Text in 71307. Tell us who you think is going to win each of the conference championship games as we run through them one by one. Cole, we're now less than an hour away from the very first conference championship game kickoff, and it will be Conference USA's championship game.
Boy.
7 o'clock, 8-4 Western Kentucky at 8-4 Jacksonville State. The Gamecocks favored by 4.
And we have to pick this game?
Yeah.
Western Kentucky, Jacksonville State. By the way, this game in Jacksonville, Alabama, you could buy a ticket right now if you were there or within an hour.
Oh, no.
For $5 US.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Like Jacksonville State's new to FBS. They've only been in FBS for 2 or 3 years now. Like you would think this fan base would still be massively excited to be
They
here.
should be tonight because they can go for $5.
$5.
The offense last night.
What else is there to do in Jacksonville, Alabama?
No, there's probably nothing.
God.
The Hilltoppers are really good offensively, Diesel. Last week, they had over 300 yards through the air, also on the ground, 91 yards on the ground. Their offense is really electric, so I anticipate this being a high-scoring game tonight. Jacksonville State also a really good ground game. Last week, they rushed for 229 yards on the ground. Tyler Huff, former Furman Paladin.
How about that?
Tyler Huff, he's a good quarterback.
Get it done.
He also ran last week for 97 yards. One of them was a 51-yarder. So this one tonight, Diesel, if you want to bet the over, I'm expecting a lot of points in this one. I am going Jacksonville State by 7. Give me Jacksonville State. Mascot? Gamecocks, right?
Gamecocks.
You said that a minute ago.
Yeah,
That's
Jacksonville State Gamecocks. Here's the interesting thing, Cole. These two teams just played. Just played 2 weeks ago.
And the score was?
The score was 19-17. Western Kentucky won the game. So that's what's really interesting about this. Western Kentucky had lost 2 straight games.
Wow.
Leading up to this one to Liberty and Louisiana Tech. But before that, Cole, they were putting up a ton of points.
Yep.
Western Kentucky was putting up a ton of points, and things have really fallen off for them in a big way over the past 3 weeks. Even in that win last game against Jacksonville State, they only scored 19 points. I think Jacksonville State's going to have more for them in this game. I'm not sure that Western Kentucky can put up the points to stay with them a second time. So I'm going with the Jacksonville State Gamecocks to get the win.
So we're both in agreement there.
Have taken Jacksonville State.
Okay. I like it.
Okay.
Best of luck to us both there.
There you go. Next up, Cole, 8 o'clock tonight. This is the one that a lot of the Tolos have taken in the upset picks challenge. By the way, you still have just about 55 minutes to get your upset picks in. 10-2 UNLV, number 20 in the country, at number 10, 11-1 Boise State, who are favored by 4.5.
Diesel, also a rematch from not long ago. So look, this is I do love rematches in conference championship games. It's interesting to see if the team that lost the first time can come back and win, just like we're going to talk about later in the SEC championship. I tell you what, I know Boise State's the favorite here, and I think I think Boise's going to win, but this could be a really good football game tonight. Diesel, college football has been wacky this year. It has been surprising at times. And because of that, right now, I'm actually changing what I was going to do. We've thought the entire season that Boise State was going to be there. And they still may. But tonight, the craziness of this 2024 season continues. UNLV gets the win tonight against Boise State.
I never bet against the team, Cole, with a quarterback who has two last names.
Oh, is that what it is?
Maddox Madsen, quarterback for the Boise State Broncos, has in fact got two first names. He takes very good care of the football, only got 3 interceptions on the season. Oh, yeah. He's got a Heisman candidate running back behind him in Ashton Genty, who has stayed healthy the entire season. Ashton Genty, I think, puts this team on his back tonight and runs away with it with the Boise State Broncos. I'm saying Boise State wins.
Well, you're going to be
by
right.
2 touchdowns.
You're going to be right, by the way.
Well, you didn't. You could have gone Boise State.
No, I want to be different. I want to be different here. I'm going to take the wild card. I think this one, I agree with you. I think this one's out of hand, but I'm going to be the wild card, and I'm going to look really smart if it happens and really be lucky. Give me UNLV.
Okay. All right. That's first one we have disagreed on to this point. And there's one more tonight. So you're going to have to pick which one of these 8:00 games do you want to watch. Here's the one that I picked from my upset pick. By the way, look this up for me while you're there. Look up on your phone what the temperature will be in Boise, Idaho tonight in an hour from right now.
I always like to ask Siri, what will the temperature be in Boise, Idaho tonight at 8 p.m.? See what Siri says. 31
degrees.
Oh,
31.
How about that? It's going to be warmer in Idaho
than here.
Than it will be here, and then it will be in West Point, New York, where the 10-1, number 24 ranked Army Black Knights taking on the Tulane Green Wave, who are 9-3. Cole, I've already made this one as my upset pick, so I can't go against it. At this point.
That'd be contradictory.
I'm rolling with Army in this game. I just like what they do on defense so much.
Well, Bryson Daly, you talk about their defense. Bryson Daly at quarterback's been fantastic. Yeah. Triple option attack. Also have a few modern day offensive principles sprinkled in that you see. You know, when you combine those, Diesel, what do you get? You get an FBS best 312 yards per game on the ground. Nobody runs the ball better than Army does. And not only did Daly lead the team with over 1,300 yards rushing, he also threw for 860 yards from a team that doesn't throw it a lot with an 8-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, only sacked 4 times on the season. It's not like he doesn't have a lot of help around him. Noah Short, Kane Udolph, 2 dynamic running backs that run the ball for the most part for the Black Knights, 6.2 and 8.5 yards on the ground. And this is a team that's dangerous. You mentioned their defense. I do not see any way tonight that Army loses this game. Give me Army over Tulane. Sorry for those who picked Tulane. Oh, well, Army's actually the underdog, but I just don't see it. I think Army's the better team tonight.
Cole, wouldn't it be fascinating? And I don't think there's enough meat on the bone here. Maybe if Tulane was a ranked team also. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. If UNLV beats Boise State and Army absolutely handled Tulane, do you think there's anywhere near enough meat on the bone for Army to jump high enough to potentially take over that highest ranked conference champion? Because
Probably
they would be an 11-1 Army going against the resume of a 10-3 UNLV.
Sure.
You're telling me that an 11-1 Army isn't better than an 11-2 UNLV?
No, it's a good point. I would love for it to happen, Diesel. If you're asking me that, I don't think it does.
No, I don't think so either. I think that's a travesty.
And why is Army, again, I think Army wins tonight because they played the disrespect card. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
they got blown out by Notre Dame a couple of weeks ago, and I think that's really where the committee, really docked them a lot of
favored
positions.
By 5, Diesel.
Yeah.
Man, I should have picked Army in the upset picks.
You should have. I think this is a lock.
It's a good one. I like it.
I'll take it. Okay, we've got a couple of stats coming in from Dan B, who does a fantastic job putting together our statistics and everything for the upset picks challenge. He says 3 Tolos have taken Western Kentucky to get the upset. 10 have UNLV. 18 have chosen Army, so that's the most common one. 11 have taken Marshall. 6 for Georgia in the SEC title game. 12 have taken Clemson to beat SMU. 4 have taken Penn State to beat Oregon. 5 have taken Iowa State to upset Arizona State. Nobody has picked in the MAC championship game. People forget the MAC is basically an FCS conference at this point. Yeah. Nobody has picked Ohio over Miami of Ohio.
Hey, good job on those stats, though.
Yeah, Dan, all over it, man. We appreciate your efforts every single day. Again, texters, you can still get us your upset picks right now at 71307. Start your text with keyword fan. Give us your name, your game, and your spread. We are, Cole, quite short of where we normally are in a given week, which means
a little bit, right?
Which means there's going to be a lot of Tolos who get a -2 because they didn't make a pick. That's going to be a big issue for a lot of you. Hop 2 guys. Don't wait till the last second.
You say Hawk 2? Hawk 2?
She's going to jail.
Thank God.
She's going to jail.
Put her up.
Yeah, apparently something about like she created a cryptocurrency and then the value of people started, spending a lot of money in it, putting a lot of money into it, and then they immediately sold it or it tanked or something like that.
She can Hawk 2 in jail.
She's well, I mean, it's probably going to be an all-women's jail, so it's
okay.
Yeah.
I digress.
Cole. All right, let's get to tomorrow's games. The big boys, the power conference games. Not all of them are power conference games, by the way, but
the big boys, Ohio and Miami.
Yeah. Iowa State, number 12, number 16, Iowa State, number 15, Arizona State. Where are you leaning in this one?
This is a true underdog story in the 2024. Yeah, I mean, Big 12 championship, Jerry World. Arizona State, Diesel, they were picked to finish last in the conference this season. And they've had a great year. Iowa State, they won 10 games for the first time in program history. They both meet. I think this is going to be a close game. Remember I told you a couple of days ago, I think this is your dark horse sleeper game. I think this might be one of the best games of the day. Iowa State, Matt Campbell, they do a good job. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I have no idea. I have no idea who wins this game. I'm going to go Iowa State. I'm going to go Iowa State to upset Arizona State by 1.5. I am not one bit confident about that pick. Again, I like the over in this one. Take the over 50.5. I think that hits. Each team in my mind will score 25 points. I just have no idea. Both are good, but give me Iowa State.
I'm going to tell you why you made a wise choice there, Cole.
Oh,
I've been big on Arizona State all season long. Scored some points with them in the upset picks challenge. I love Cam Scattaboo. I love their running back. I love what Levitt is doing there, quarterback Sam Levitt. But Cole, one of their biggest wide receivers has gone down for the rest of the season.
Not good,
Arizona
like biggest,
State.
Tallest, fattest.
As in, they throw it to him the most.
Oh, okay. Not
and
like
he scores
the
a lot
largest.
of touchdowns.
He's not overweight.
I'm not saying that it's going to derail Arizona State tremendously because I just don't know how much they spread the ball around to other wide receivers, Cole, and they may be able to share the load a little bit. But when you lose one of your biggest pieces right before a big time game,
it's not good.
That's not good.
No.
So
I wouldn't advise.
I think Arizona State keeps this game close. The spread on this one, by the way, was 1.5 points. I think Iowa State covers. They probably win this game by 10 points, maybe two touchdowns.
Wow.
Just because Arizona State is down one of their key weapons. All right, Cole, let's go to the noon kickoff tomorrow, second noon kickoff for you tomorrow. Here we go with the MAC championship. Neither one of us knows a dang thing about either of these teams. Ohio at Miami of Ohio.
Let me figure out. Here's what I'm going to do. Whichever mascot I can tell you, if I can, here's the deal. If I can name a mascot of the two, that's who I'm picking.
Okay. The Ohio.
Miami, Ohio. They have a Bobcat, and
it's Bobcats. Yeah,
okay, well, it gives it away.
That's one of the weakest mascots.
And Miami. So I'm going Ohio because I have no idea what Miami of Ohio. By the way, change these freaking names. Ohio, Miami of Ohio, Ohio State, the Ohio State. I don't know. I have no idea. Give me the
Red Hawks, right? The Miami or the Red Hawks?
Sure. Yeah, sounds good.
Miami of Ohio mascot.
Whatever you want to call
Red Hawks.
Red Hawks. You're right.
That's where Big Ben went to college, right?
Sounds right. Whatever you say is right.
Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah, he went to Miami.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. I'm not picking him.
God, yeah.
I'm thinking Ohio.
This is a coin flip. You took Ohio. App State's played Ohio in a bowl game. I'm just gonna go with that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go. I genuinely don't.
This is one of those where you like
just don't know.
You pick whoever has the prettiest jersey.
Prettiest cheerleaders.
Well, yeah, that's true. But Ohio, you might have to go with the jerseys. Sorry.
Here's the problem, Cole. We have agreed, I think, on all.
Oh no,
but one.
Just wait.
So far.
Wait. We got
okay. Here we go. Here we go into the good ones.
Yep.
7:30 tomorrow. 4 o'clock tomorrow. Sorry. Number 5, Georgia. Number 2, Texas in Atlanta. Ooh.
Give me Texas.
Bevo.
Give me the Longhorns. They're going to move. They're not going to lose twice. I know. I saw a video earlier from Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered talking about Kirby and how great of a motivator he is. And I don't care about all that. Texas is not going to lose to Georgia twice. Not happening.
Do you have a sound effect for the other mascot?
Do I have a sound effect?
Sick 'em, dogs. Sick 'em. You're going to see a bunch of idiots on their hands and knees chasing down.
No, you're not taking Georgia.
Texas fans. I'm taking Georgia to get the win. I'm taking Georgia to get the win. These Texas boys won't know what to do with the cold Atlanta frigid temperatures over the weekend, and it's going to mess them up. It's going to mess them up, Cole.
Oh, gosh.
All right, we're running out of time here. Let's get to these last 3 very, very quickly. 9-3 Marshall at 10-2 Louisiana.
Ugh. That wasn't a sound effect, by the way. That was real. I like my heart's telling me Louisiana, but then again, Marshall. Okay, give me the Raging Cajuns.
Lou, you're taking Louisiana.
Yep.
I'm taking Marshall.
Okay, we're different there.
I'm taking Marshall in this one. Okay, Clemson at Clemson versus SMU from Charlotte.
Clemson wins 31-24 on Saturday night in Charlotte. Write it down.
I'm Cole. This is going to be. You're right. Dabo Swinney doesn't lose back-to-back games. He doesn't. I'm gonna roll with the Tigers as well.
Okay.
I'm gonna roll with the Tigers. I'm gonna give a final score prediction of. Hadn't thought about this much. I'm gonna go with 28 to 23. 28-23.
Close game, 5 points. I like it.
28-23 is my final score. And then Cole, the nightcapper, Penn State, Oregon. This one has the most consequences.
You don't have to ask me this one. You know the answer to this one. You know the answer. You don't have to ask me.
You finally come around?
No.
You finally come around, James Franklin?
Give me the Ducks. Ducks. Oregon's not losing to Penn State, who can't win big games. They're gonna quack all night.
Yeah, I'm with you. The Ducks are really, really good. They've flirted with disaster once or twice over the season with Boise State early, with Wisconsin. They're going to be focused. Dan Lanning is going to come out there and beat the ever-loving tar out of Penn State. And I think, Cole, after this game, I think Penn State may take a long, hard look at moving on from James Franklin.
You think so?
Yeah.
You know what? They should.
They should.
They should. I don't know if they will.
You're primed right there. You got to be able to get over the hump at some point.
You got to. All right, coming up next, we have an interview replay with the one, the only Matt Smith, Smitty of Sports Talk Media Network. That is next. So he was confused.
Come on, Cletus. Say what you want to say. Come on. Matt Smith, how are you, pal?
Well, we say the same thing to your face that we say behind your back. You're a hillbilly. You went to App State. I asked I assumed you were dancing barefoot somewhere or burning a couch. Oh no, he's just sitting on his front porch burning a couch, and he's got Camaro up on.
Well, what do you do on a Friday afternoon?
Well, that is what I do normally. As you know, I went to college right by Arcadia in South Carolina. So
we got more in common than you think.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
absolutely
fair. Matt Smith, Sports Talk Media Network, coming at you out of the Myrtle Beach market on his daily show over there. Make sure you check him out on all the social medias. Matt, I just want to jump right into kind of the second biggest story involving Clemson. The biggest is, of course, playing SMU in the title game. But I think what Clemson fans should be concerned about more than what happens in this game is what's going to happen to him next year, because this 2025 recruiting class is not shaping up the way they want it to be. They're having key pieces who are now transferring out. We had the story earlier today that Troy Stellato is transferring out of the program. This is Dabo's weakest recruiting class since his first recruiting class at Clemson. How concerned are you? And the $1 million question, will this force Dabo's hand into being a little more aggressive in the portal?
I wish I had a firm answer, but I certainly think there is now room for concern, because I believe, the book on Dabo Swinney and the way he's done things is, hey, if he's going to keep players there, they're going to develop. And if he's going to be loyal to players and not go try to recruit over them in the transfer portal, say to a group of wide receivers, you're my guys. I'm not going to search for different.
We lose you?
Keep your head down, and you're going to be part of this Clemson attack. And you would think, well, who would that appeal to? High school players coming in. That's what they want to hear. They want to hear that when they get there, they'll have the opportunity to win playing time, that their coach is going to be loyal to them, and their coach is essentially committing to them for 4 years, and you're committing to that coach for 4 years. But now we have evidence that there are actually players who are concerned that Clemson is sliding, like the player that flipped, the safety that flipped from Clemson. Their concern is that actually the Tigers are sliding, and that there's going to be issues, as you mentioned, in the future, and that they're going to, not going to be the same kind of program that those kids grew up watching. And that's the real red flag to me. The fact that players were flipping. In other words, if Dabo was going to do well, he should be doing well with high school kids. So for them to start to turn their backs and look elsewhere, and maybe NIL is a part of it, I don't know. Graham Neff had a big, letter he sent out 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago that, all the things that Clemson is doing and committing to in terms of NIL. I don't know. That's something I try not to pay that close attention to, but that made certain the transfer portal and NIL, that's really, that's what the high school kids are talking about and searching for right now.
Smitty, we opened the show today with an article from the Clemson Insider, and it was funny. I don't know if we spawned this article. We may have, we may not have, but we had a good friend, Will Vandervoort of the Clemson Insider on yesterday, in about 4 o'clock hour. And then about 7, 8 o'clock, there was an article about a radio guy saying Clemson backdoored their way into the postseason, or into the ACC championship, rather. Will basically said that he believed Clemson earned their spot into the ACC title game. I've said, as well as Diesel all week, Smitty, that they did backdoor their way into that ACC championship game. What do you believe?
Well, they earned it because, if Miami would have played Syracuse in week 2, they would have, they could have lost then, and Clemson actually would have been ahead of things. But what I think you really are hitting on here that has everybody's attention is that when Dabo Swinney opened his press conference on Tuesday, he was asking, why the long faces, essentially. Hey, this is a great day. What a great opportunity Clemson has. But everybody kind of knows the truth. The truth is they saw the fact that Clemson wasn't able to corral the North Sellers. Now, I thought Clemson played terrific. They just lost to South Carolina in a close game. It was a really, really close game. But South Carolina, one of the hotter teams in the nation, but they're probably not better than the third or fourth team best in the SEC. So where does that put Clemson? I think the reason, and the reason you say backdoor their way in potentially to the ACC championship and then backdoor their way in almost potentially into the college football playoff is no one out there thinks that this is the same Clemson team that we saw under Trevor Lawrence when Brent Venables was the defensive coordinator, that was capable of these monster games against big top 2 opponents in the country, knocking off Alabama and teams like that in that Saban era. No one thinks this is a Clemson team like that. They see that they're flawed. So to make the ACC championship, it's not as if this is a team that everybody is rallying around saying, watch out, no one wants to see Clemson if they make the college football playoff. That's not really the circumstance here. The circumstance here is Clemson's a little bit lucky to still be playing meaningful football right now.
Matt Smith of Sports Talk Media Network joining us right here on the Fan Upstate Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Smitty, what have you seen that SMU does that you believe compares favorably to what Georgia, Louisville, and South Carolina did in their victories over Clemson? We had a listener bring it up that SMU has a phenomenal quarterback that really throws the ball all over the field really, really well. Is that going to be a big-time area of concern for Clemson?
Well, they also had trouble. They had a lot of trouble stopping the run against Louisville, remember. If we think back to what happened in that ball game. And I don't know that Clemson was a fully formed team when they lost 34-3 to Georgia. I mean, I'm not going to give them a break for that loss. That's part of the resume. But, I don't think they would lose 34-3 if they played them again. I think they've improved and they know a little bit more about who they are in terms of personnel and what they can rely on now. Louisville, they couldn't stop the run, clearly. And against South Carolina, they did a lot of good things. They won some of those one-on-one matchups at the wide receiver position. They, for the most part, had a really good game plan. Peter Woods was winning his matchup and putting consistent pressure on Lenore Sellers. The only problem is they just couldn't tackle Lenore Sellers. 18 broken tackles, according to Pro Football Focus. Now, SMU has a quarterback that can move a little bit, not to that same extent, but somebody that has some mobility. So that's an issue. And to me, statistically, I don't know. SMU didn't play that difficult a schedule. They had BYU, they had Louisville, they had a couple of other really good teams. But statistically, SMU is so stout against the run. I think only 4 yards per carry, or maybe even less per carry defensively. They just do a great job at stopping the run. And Phil Maffa, I'm going to credit Larry Williams said this a few weeks ago, and then I got more from David Hood at TigerNet.com. Phil Maffa's shoulder is definitely not right. You saw him leave the Carolina game. So I don't know that he's going to be the same physical presence in the run game that Clemson fans are used to. I actually think after seeing Maffa leave the game against South Carolina, I think the Clemson coaching staff seriously has to consider featuring Jay Haynes more in this game. And it's not because Phil Maffa is not outstanding. He is better than 1,000 yards on the season, but I don't think he's the same guy right now because of that hurt shoulder. I don't know that he's going to be the same physical presence. You saw he had no chance of picking up 4th and 1 early in the game against South Carolina. That wasn't blocked well, but also that pile moved backwards as well more than it was moving forward in that game. That's the injury. So I think that's an issue. And also SMU, Rhett Lashley, great play caller. And when have we seen Clemson go up against a great play caller earlier this season? Big Game Brom, Louisville. They looked at everything that Wes Goodwin does defensively, and they had an answer for it. And Louisville had what I thought was perhaps the best game plan all season long against Clemson, both defensively and offensively. Well, Rhett Lashley is in that same class, and he's been putting everybody in the blender, as they say, this year for SMU because they're talented. They're talented. But also, more often than not, he and his staff are out coaching the opposition. That's an issue for me looking forward. I think there's a possibility SMU attacks Clemson the same way Louisville did, which is to say they've got plan A, plan B, and plan C. And I don't know that Clemson can counter all that Rhett Lashley is going to be able to throw at them.
Smitty, you mentioned Jay Haynes getting more carries. That was one of the things I heard from a lot of Clemson fans after South Carolina's loss, or the loss to South Carolina, was why he didn't get more carries. That's on the offensive side of the ball, questions when it comes to coaching. On the defense side of the football, Sammy Brown, I guess, went to the SO club during the fourth quarter as he was not on the field. Somebody has to take accountability for these poor coaching decisions in games, Smitty. Who do you think it'll be, and would it surprise you to see some changes at coordinator positions in the next couple of weeks?
No, I guess I wouldn't be shocked. I would not be shocked. And truthfully, I think Wes Goodwin, the too many big plays given up by this team this year. There's some statistics out there. There's a metric for everything now. But one of the things Clemson did was just give up too many chunk plays, especially on the ground. Now, is that all Wes Goodwin's fault? I don't know. He's got assistant coaches, the position coaches. The players have to take accountability. I'm one of those people. I'm usually not all over a coordinator unless I know for certain I'm seeing them being outcoached. I think Clemson may have other issues that are larger. But here's the thing: Brent Venables moved on, took the head coaching job at Oklahoma. When he left, Clemson was had a tremendous reputation. They were one of the best defensive programs in college football. Wes Goodwin now is at the helm, and they are no longer one of the best defensive programs in college football. So who does that fall to? Well, ultimately it falls to Dabo Swinney. Sure. We all know he's not getting fired. So, yes, it may be time for a difficult conversation between Dabo Swinney and Wes Goodwin. And again, look, coaches, they come and go. They take different positions. We just saw who was it? It was just Tom Herman fired at Florida Atlantic. Well, you may remember Tom Herman got the Texas job, and everybody that knew anything about the industry said, there he is. There's the rising star. That's the next Nick Saban. That's the next Dabo Swinney. Well, now he can't keep the job at Florida Atlantic. So I'm always slow to either anoint coaches or necessarily call for their job and ask them to get fired. But if you ask me to read the tea leaves in terms of who's going to have to fall on their sword, Wes Goodwin is either going to have to take some sort of responsibility internally, or he may lose his job in front of the world so that Dabo Swinney can show that he's doing something to fix that defense.
Smitty, you know me as a graduate of an FCS school that's now a G5 school. I've always gotten on the soapbox for the smaller programs that have always had to punch up. It feels like in this situation that we're in, given things can still change in the 12-team playoff and the bracket and the seeding, that Boise State as the G5 is going to get an opportunity to punch down a little bit, if you want to say that in air quotes. I think this year more than most, Boise State, should they take care of UNLV, deserves a top 4 seed and a first-round bye. We've never really seen what can happen if a G5 program was given some of those advantages like buys and home field advantage and playing lower seed teams. I'm hearing a lot of the talking heads like Danny Cannell saying that they have no business being a top 4 seed. They have no business getting a bye. Where do you stand on Boise State? Are they deserving of the spot that they have the opportunity to go earn?
That's the job of the committee. That's why we've got that group of experts there. You talk about air quotes. I don't know that they're experts. They're athletic directors and some of them are former football players. But this is who we have. This is who we have tasked with this. So yes, the short answer to your question is, and when you said when they are put, kind of on a level playing field, let's not forget Boise State knocked off Oklahoma. That was some years ago in the Fiesta Bowl, but everybody had time to prepare. There were no surprises, and Boise State beat them straight up. Now, we've also seen a team like Hawaii go undefeated in the regular season and then get outclassed in the Sugar Bowl. So we've seen both sides of this. What I'm as interested in when you bring this up, Diesel, and I've been thinking about something you said earlier in the year, which was something about a G5 having its own tournament at the end of the year, which is growing on me more because I kind of, right now, knowing that football, we're faced with the fact that it's ending, I kind of want more of it. So I'm kind of, starting to head your way. But I'll say this about a team like Boise State or UNLV making this playoff. And if Boise State gets a bye in this particular tournament, what's going to be so fascinating? Does it elevate their recruiting? In other words, do they pay it off on the back end? Is it possible that Boise State is able to either win a game or play so competitively that the following year they start to recruit like an elite program. That's what I need to see. I need to know if they can do it, if they can get the support, because I know they can play football. We've got that. We know the guys at some of those G5 schools. We know they can coach. We know they can pull the upsets. We've seen App State do it for years and years and years. Where it wouldn't shock anybody if Boise State wins a game in this tournament. But can they pay it off on the back end by then luring other great players to come be a part of that program and treat it like it's a big boy program? That, to me, they're always in the wrong weight class, because they're usually recruiting kind of what we would say, the parlance is 2- and 3-star guys. Do 4-star players start to look at it differently if they can succeed in the playoffs?
Smitty, to give you a little preview of what we're diving into in the next segment, I have a solution to the college football playoff that would help immediately in my mind. So I want to give you a little preview of what we're going to talk about and get your thoughts on it. My immediate fix, maybe this is putting a Band-Aid on it, but I think it would help. I would like to, 1, eliminate the conference champions getting a bye. Number 2, completely get rid of the committee. And number 3, keep the 12-team playoff, but base it on metrics and formulas that actually have more of a weight than people sitting in a room eating cocktails and sipping on wine. What do you think about that?
Well, all right. So here's the first thing I'll say. I don't want to do this prematurely. You're saying fix the college football playoff, but we haven't seen it yet. So I would like to see it play out, before I start, pulling it apart like Jenga and pull it, like it's a house of cards. But some of what you say does carry some weight with me. And what's so interesting, football people can't even agree on most things. To me, what here with Sports Talk, some of the people that I work with, we will actually have a little text chain, and I'm the one that says, hey, you've got to take strength of schedule into account. And then some of the replies, I won't call anybody out because it's a private text chain, but some of the people texted back, I don't want a 3-loss team in the playoff no matter what. I don't care what their strength of schedule is. But I have a problem with that. I have a real problem with that, because I think strength of schedule, which, by the way, that's their own criteria. Strength of schedule is the first thing listed that they're going to take into account as a committee. So I think that's got to be in there. But that's what you're talking about. You're saying that instead of having the people weigh these things, strength of schedule, common opponents, head-to-head, conference championships, instead of them weighing it, actually have a computer do it. But when we bring the computers in, the issue there is they're only as good as the data that is put into those computers. So we have to come up with a formula beforehand. And what happened previously with the old BCS computers is we realized the formula was screwed up. That at the end of the year, sometimes we would get a third-place team in the computer rankings, and everybody would agree, well, that's not the third best team in college football. We all know it. So you have to be careful with computers, too. They're imperfect because they're only as good as the data that humans are going to put in there either. So I want to see this play out. But what I want to see done more than anything else is they actually live up to the criteria they lay out. We all agreed beforehand. Strength of schedule is going to be a major factor. Okay. When this 12-team playoff is ready to be revealed next week, did you live up to the criteria you placed? If you want to put in, say, a 2-loss Miami over a 3-loss SEC team, that's fine by me in the future. But if you want to do that, then don't tell me strength of schedule matters. Tell me number of losses matter. Tell me that you're better off playing a soft schedule and going 11-1 or 12-0 or 10-2 than playing a difficult schedule and going 9-3. Everybody needs to know that before the season kicks off. If we all can agree on the criteria, that's fine. I just want to see them live up to the criteria that they laid out. Now, does that mean Alabama goes in? Maybe. And do I think that's the right choice? I don't know. How much time do you have? Because I think you could make a legitimate argument for Alabama, South Carolina, even Miami with the win over Florida, and even if SMU loses to Clemson, I still think there's an argument there for a team like SMU. It's just hard because, and it's not their fault. Not their fault. They joined the ACC. They had nothing to do with their schedule this year. they brought in and said, look, we'll play BYU, got a couple of FCS teams, and we'll just play in the ACC and see what happens. So I'm not going to be too hard on SMU. And if you want to put them in, even if they lose a close one to Clemson, I'm probably okay with that. But I don't want to be knee-jerk and just throw the baby out with the bathwater. I want to see this playoff play out first year before we make any changes.
Yeah, and Smitty, that gets infinitely more difficult when you realize, schedules are put together sometimes 3, 4, 5, 6 years in advance, and you may think you're booking a cupcake, and they turn out to be a powerhouse by the time you play them, or vice versa. So, it's almost like we need to know the criteria 3 years in advance so that you can schedule based on that criteria and hope that it still works out, or you're going to have to schedule things right after those criteria come out for the upcoming season. And to your point earlier about Boise State and their recruiting, they are currently sitting at 76th in the country, not good, with not a single 4 or 5-star commit, 16 3-stars making up their 2025 class. Smitty, last thing we need from you is your upset pick. Who do you like in the week of the championship games?
Well, I don't know that I feel strongly about any. The lines in Vegas will tell you this week that there's a lot of evenly matched football teams, and with all the pressure on everybody, no one expects anybody to run away and hide this week. So I can't take, even though they're a short underdog, I can't take Georgia. I actually think Texas is playing better football right now. And I didn't like everything I saw from Georgia last week against Georgia Tech. So I kind of am going to take Texas there. So no underdog pick there. I haven't liked Penn State all season long, so it's hard for me to pick them. So I'm going to go out, and this is actually going to ruin your day. I'm going to pick UNLV. That, to me, they've got the best opportunity.
Tonight.
I believe they outgained Boise State the first time they played them. I think they have a good run defense. And if you can stop Ashton Genty, maybe the Heisman Trophy winner, but if you can slow him down, Boise State's not special in the passing game. So I'm going to take the running Rebels. I'm not saying I believe in it strongly, but if I've got to pick an underdog, I'm going to take the Rebs.
Well, you're just a couple of picks away, I think, from passing Cole up in this challenge.
Yeah, it's not hard to do.
So that's your big goal for right now, is to end the season with more points than Cole Bryson.
Oh, no, are we battling? Okay, this is like
Cole has 9.
Son is on the line. Okay.
Yeah, Cole has 9 points right now, Smitty. He's within reach.
No, I was going to say, I was going to defend myself a little bit. I won't do it. I had a couple of picks that I left, a couple logs I didn't throw on the fire that I mentioned. I mentioned Syracuse potentially beating Miami at the end of the year. I had Louisville giving Clemson trouble. I had Georgia Tech giving Miami trouble. But whatever, I didn't pick them. We just discussed them. So no credit.
Smitty, great stuff as always, man. We appreciate you hopping on with us, and we'll do it again soon.
All right. Talk later, guys.
That's Matt Smith, Sports Talk Media Network, joins us on Fridays. Always a pleasure talking Clemson and South Carolina with him. We'll get back into the discussion that the question that I asked Smitty about some fixes in my mind to the college football playoff. We fantasized yesterday toward the end of the show, but some fixes that I think would help. What are your thoughts on these? Diesel will give his thoughts as well next.
I'm Tony Desiri with your sports update on the Fan Upstate. College football, the Clemson Tigers making their 10th appearance in the ACC Championship game on Saturday night when they take on the SMU Tigers. Clemson 8-1 in the previous 9 appearances. They entered this year 9-3, 7-1 in conference play, while SMU in their first year in the ACC went 8-0 in conference play and 11-1 overall. College basketball, Furman hosting Princeton on Saturday. The Paladins are 8-1. Wofford will be on the road Saturday to take on Elon. The Terriers are 4-5. Clemson, off their win against Kentucky Tuesday tonight, will be in Coral Gables to take on Miami in their ACC opener, while the Gamecocks will be home in Columbia to face East Carolina. And in the NFL, the Carolina Panthers will be in Philadelphia Sunday to take on the Eagles, sitting at 3-9 with back-to-back losses, while the Eagles have won 8 straight at 10-2. Download the Odyssey app and search The Fan Upstate and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on The Fan Upstate.
I'm Brian Tedesco, CEO of Blaufront Americas, the pioneers of the car stereo. Today, we're not just about sound systems. We are revolutionizing the e-bike scene with Blue Dot Bike. Thanks to AmericanEagle.com, our online presence now features a dynamic e-commerce website that showcases the quality and affordability of our foldable e-bikes. And our collegiate e-bikes, just perfect for the college fanatic. These e-bikes offer a new way to experience freedom on two wheels, no matter your age. When we needed a top-notch website to match our cutting-edge e-bikes, we turned to AmericanEagle.com. They made the impossible seem easy, tackling digital challenges like pros. Check out the Blue Dot Bike website to see AmericanEagle.com's amazing work in action. Need the best in website and digital marketing solutions? AmericanEagle.com is your go-to. They've been a game changer for us, and they can be for you too. Visit AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Get in zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Pennzoil Platinum can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $35.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com. Get in zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
Tonight, the forecast calls for clear skies with a low of 22.
Weather brought to you by Staples. Your local Staples store has hot deals at super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. Save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
From the Ingalls Market Studio,
The Fan Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM
always live on the frequency. Now, the Infinity Sports Network. Of course, your adult softball beer league counts as a sport.
This is Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
Tolos, we have made it to championship week. Man, what an exciting time. Exciting time. We got games kicking off here in just about 7 minutes. I hope you've got your upset picks in. I really, really do. I don't want you to get a -2 for this week, but it seems as if some of you are sleeping a little bit. Starting your Christmas vacation early, that's your prerogative. You're going to lose some points, but hey, it's been a blast being on the air with you today. Cole took off a few minutes early so that he could get to a high school football game, and that's going to do it for us right here on the Fan Upstate. You Tolos, you're just an integral part of what makes this show so special. As those of you who have been watching on the stream know, we're going to start integrating more and more of the like the best ofs, great phone calls, great topics that we've had on the show. We're going to integrate that so you guys will get an extra little shout out for being such a huge part of the show. Appreciate you. We'll be back to talk about all the championship games on Monday right here on the Fan Upstate.